Good afternoon. I'm speaking to you live just outside.
I like to think balding is just God's way of saying, now let's see you get laid.
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
What I'd really like to do is put the greatness of this man in perspective.
The hair loss community has a lot to be thankful for, having you as a spokesperson.
You mean you just call this guy up?
About life and about reality.
And now, America's #1 reality radio show for men. Live from Los Angeles, it's Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
Welcome, Joe. How are you, man? What's going on?
Welcome, Spencer. I'm doing good. Can't complain. How about you?
I'm doing not terribly. I'm doing a little day drinking today. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm having my first glass of wine. I just said, fuck everybody.
Right on. Okay.
You know? I have the right to do this.
This bottle's full of vodka, so I'm right there with you.
Yes, it's rosé. So for all my detractors, you want to make fun of that, go right ahead. It's out there in the open that Spencer Kobren drinks rosé. So that should be on some form or another within the next 10 minutes.
I'm thinking New York Times, but, you know.
Possibly. Let me get the phone number, first of all, 888-659-3727. This is the Hair Loss Show, guys, if you're tuning in for the first time. If you've never watched this broadcast, if you've never listened to the broadcast. My name is Spencer Kobren. I'm the founder of the American Hair Loss Association, author of The Bald Truth, The Truth About Women's Hair Loss, the founder of the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons, and all kinds of stuff like that. Been doing this broadcast for about 24 years. And yes, I'm still here. For all of you guys that, and again, talking about detractors who have wanted to see me disappear, whether they were people in the industry, physicians in the industry, people who believe they're
family.
Yeah, people who believe they are somehow in competition with what I do all these years. First of all, you guys are fucking out of your minds. But I'm still fucking standing. Still doing this little broadcast. And you know what? I have to thank Dht Tillman, who is the guy on your left, who's live in Vancouver, British Columbia. Joe is the original hair transplant mentor, the guy that has continued to push me to do this broadcast every week, to keep providing you guys with the information that you need to make better informed decisions when it comes to anything and everything hair loss. We don't sell anything, believe it or not. You're not going to see, well, I don't know. I mean, maybe one day you will, but you're not going to see me bopping around the internet with a laser cap. You're not going to see me selling some shit. We're not going to sell mugs for the show. We're not going to sell, you know, any type of hair loss products or services on this broadcast. That's a commitment that I made many, many years ago. And you know what? I may go back in that commitment at some point. I don't know, Jay.
And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, because I get no fucking medals. I get no fucking medals for doing what I do all these years. That's what I've learned. Do the right thing? Fuck you, Kobren. Do the wrong thing? Fuck you, Kobren.
I'll tell you what we get. We get a lot of appreciation and words of thanks in private messages and emails and DMs. But none of them are publicly saying this. They're not saying, wow, I wouldn't have gone down this road if it weren't for Dht Tillman, or I wouldn't have made the decisions I made if it wasn't for Spencer Kobren. They'll send you 500 emails saying, thanks so much.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the opportunity to say so publicly, not a damn thing.
What about the fucking doctors, yo? What about, hey, you know what? I probably wouldn't be in this industry doing follicular unit extraction if it wasn't for you guys.
That's true.
You know, if Ray Woods didn't contact you, Spencer, in 1999 to talk about the Woods technique, I probably wouldn't be making a living right now. Doesn't happen. Hey, let's talk about the history of hair transplant surgery. Wait a second. Where the fuck is the bald truth in that? Or
it needs to be rewritten again.
Exactly. Or where's Ray Woods? I hate to keep saying that, but I'm just like, where the fuck is Ray Woods in the history of this thing? Why do the doctors, why are they willing to rewrite the history and essentially lie about how hair transplant surgery has evolved over the years? It's a fucking fairy tale when I read these different histories.
Mm-hmm. It's such a poignant term, different histories.
Yeah. Every book,
not the truth, but different histories.
Every textbook, every website, everybody's writing an article. It's a completely different history. If it's somebody here on the West Coast, they write their own history. Someone on the East Coast, they write their own history. And honestly, I've only seen one that was pretty accurate, and that's yours.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still a little fucked up.
Which you can read on hairtransplantmentor.com.
But the point of this is not to say that we need credit for anything. The point of this is when you are considering surgical hair restoration, people, understand that whatever you read on somebody's website, whatever you read on Reddit or on message forums, it's all regurgitated information that's provided from either certain, intimate sources. When I say intimate, like non-physician, intimate, that's the wrong word. Layman sources, resources, or people are getting it from the textbooks, and the textbooks are bullshit in general. The whole thing is it's like, if you just go out there and tell the truth, and I was speaking to a patient about this who got fucked up recently, and I was speaking to this doctor about this, but the doctor who fucked this patient up. If you just go out there and tell the truth, the reality is that in the end, you may see a few less patients in your chair, but at least you're giving them all the information they need to make an informed decision. So if they do get fucked up, they understand that that's a possibility. And everyone, they look at me, or I could hear, this was on the phone, I could just hear like the distant, like looking at me like a deer in the headlights sound, if that makes sense. It's like they just stop. It doesn't compute. Like, what do you mean, Mr. Spencer? And by the way, why do these doctors call me Mr. Spencer? Half of these guys. The fuck is that about?
I'm just going to be over here.
That whole thing is like, I don't know, man. I'm losing my mind, guys. The phone number. Go ahead.
Hang on. I'm going to take a little bit of issue with what you said about just because you're being honest with your patients, it may mean that you got a few less patients in your chair. That's not true. The opposite's true. If you're honest with your patients, they actually appreciate it more to where they are in the chair more often.
You know what? You're right about that.
That's a fact. That's a fact. Like
I am
all the
here,
doctors I work with.
I take that correction. You're completely right about that.
They have they've buckled down and they've said, you know what, I'm going to commit, I'm going to do that, and every one of them are booked out further than they've ever been, if I do say so myself. So the truth actually does win when it comes to the doctor-patient relationship. Trust is established, realistic expectations are established, and that means that patients are ultimately, in the end, more satisfied with the outcome and less pissed off if it doesn't completely blossom into Brad Pitt hair.
Right.
It's just a fact.
I agree with you. And listen, I don't talk about this much publicly, but people know that I do remove physicians from the IHRS. Recently, I had to remove somebody from the IHRS, and it was a big surprise to me that I would have to remove this person. Yeah. And this is an important thing for everyone to understand who's considering surgery. Yes, we provide a safe resource to start to do your research. But just because someone is accepted into the organization doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to walk away with a stellar result. It also doesn't mean that when they were accepted into the organization, that the same staff members that they were using when they were accepted are going to be there the day that you have surgery. So that is why you have to do your due diligence. When you take a look at our society or Joe's list, to make a decision to have a hair transplant. That is on you guys to do your research and do not depend on the fucking peanut galleries, on message forums, or whatever list someone's on. And I don't know how many times, how many years we've been saying this, Joe. But for half these guys, it goes in one ear and out the other.
Yeah. Because we're not telling them what they want to hear. We're the bad guys. We don't know what we're talking about.
Oh my God, I hear that
with what they want to hear.
I hear that shit all the time. I'm not too young to stop. Yeah. Well, you know, and here's another thing that people have to understand. If you are turned down, if you are turned down for surgery, you have to understand that most hair transplant surgeons are not in this field because they're feeling, you know, they want to be benevolent or that they are, you know, necessarily that this is their calling. They were tired of what they were doing in traditional medicine. This is a great way to get into cosmetic surgery and make a fucking shitload of money and help people along the way if you're good at what you're doing. Really affect people's lives in a positive way. But that's usually, most guys aren't going to medical school, or gals, sorry, or whatever, he, she's, hims, those, them, are not going to medical school and thinking, I'm going to become a hair transplant surgeon. I've known two people in this field. One who works with us and one who doesn't. Three. I've known three. I've known three. Yeah. I forgot. Aaron Nussbaum was one.
Oh, that's four then.
Yeah. Okay. Fuck. Stop correcting me on the air. Jeez. And it's not apple juice, it's wine. I'm day drinking, people. I just needed to day drink today.
If another rant to go off on is how people don't understand the kind of money we do turn down in order to keep, I don't want to say keep standards high, but kind of, to keep standards high. Like, you get applications from clinics all the time. I get them not as often, but I do get them. And I say this because, I mean, we're kind of on the subject, but it's like I had to turn down a clinic that applied to me and, like, went through the gamut of everything I usually ask for. And when and they're actually a known clinic. And when they started sending me content that shows the actual details of their work that you don't see online, and this is stuff I was going to be putting on an introduction video, I had to stop, and I was actually really upset because they work so hard to be a part of my group, and I have to turn them down. And it's not just turning them down, that's a lot of money that I'm turning down because they don't meet a certain standard that I think is representative of
Cry me a fucking river, man.
with.
Do you know how many people applied to the IHRS over the last 20 years? I
tried to give that to you.
I've shown you
I tried
lists.
to give that to you by saying that there's more people that apply to you.
Yeah. But
so you got a Keith on Reddit. Okay.
I've shown you lists. Right now there are several hundred in the queue. That's how insane this industry is right now. Yes, Mr. Spencer, I'd like to be a member. I've been doing this for 2.5 years. Mr. Spencer, dear Mr. Spencer. It's Mr. Kobren, by the way. Not that you have to call me by my last name, but Jesus Christ. Anyway.
Mr. Joe, it's Doctor. Thank you very much.
So when we see stuff that, whether it's, I actually find it all funny, all the detractors. And I always, I tell you, this is the nature of the game. There's a reason why people are out there who are detractors. They've never accomplished anything in their lives, or they feel impotent in whatever world they're in, or normal people do not go online and try to say something negative about your hairline, for instance, or that's craziness. These are unwell individuals. I tell you that all the time, Joe.
Well, there's a lot of unwell individuals out there.
You're damn right.
To the point where it is actually kind of normal because there's a lot of messed up people out there.
Dude, when I'm driving
doesn't mean
now,
it's acceptable.
And this is years ago. And guys, we'll take your calls in a second. 888-659-3727. When I'm driving and I'm at a stoplight, I look over. I'm like, I wonder what kind of shit this guy's into. That's how jaded I've become over the years. Like, I don't trust anybody. Everyone is fucked up until proven otherwise.
But what you're not sharing is that then you make sure that there's eye contact and you give the roll down window signal and you ask them, hey, what are you into?
And I just go like this. All right, guys. Phone number 888-659-3727. This is a hair loss show. I'm just venting today because I'm doing some day drinking, and I hope that you guys are okay with that. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Bill from D.C.
Bill? Did you say?
Hello, Bill.
Yeah. Hey, Bill. How are you, man?
I'm doing okay. Just kind of wanted to talk a little something through. I drove down to Charlotte over the summer and met with Dr. Cooley. He seemed like a good guy and fair amount of confidence in his work. And, you know, I've been researching stuff for 10 years and went ahead and booked and was supposed to do it about 3 weeks from now, but then I canceled last week because I just got cold feet. And
that's okay.
Uh-oh.
Cold feet, you know, if you have any, excuse me, if you have any doubts, that means you should probably put things on hold. Doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah, my issue is not so much, you know, I feel like in the short term I would be okay, but I seem like I'm following my dad's hair loss progression, even with being on medication, which means I'm going to be, you know, completely bald by the time I'm like 70. I'm 52 now, and I'm just, you know, I feel like I might get a good 5 to 10 years out of it, but then I'll be a mess, you know, by the time I'm in my, you know, late 60s or whatever.
Or you could be dead.
True.
You know, I mean, I'm not telling you to go get surgery. I think this is a really, you know, smart and critical. You know, you're using some critical thinking skills here. And you want to see what's happening, you know, what could potentially happen. Think about the long term. But are you telling me, and let me ask you this question, you're on medication and you think that you're still progressing?
Yeah, because I mean, part of what I did right before I canceled was looking at photos of my dad. And, you know, I've been on either Propecia, I switched to Avodart about a year and a half ago, but I've been on medication for about 14 years, and I'm still about where he was at my age. And he, you know, of course, wasn't on medication. So,
all right, so
it just doesn't seem like I'm getting a lot of benefit.
So 14 years ago, you think you were much better off?
In terms of how much hair I have now?
Yeah.
Or?
Yes.
Oh, I've lost a significant amount of hair over the last 14 years.
All right, so what medication are you on? Are you on taking finasteride or brand name or generic?
I was on the generic for several years, and then I switched to Proscar brand name, cutting it up into 4. And then I've been on Avodart brand name for about a year and a half.
Okay. Have you seen any change from going from brand name Proscar to Avodart?
I don't think so. I think it's still, because I've been playing with the semi-comb over for years, and the comb over is getting harder and harder to
Tell me about it, dude.
to make work.
I hear that. I hear that, yo. Sorry to hear that, though. But I think that being a man who's 52 years old and really, you know, thinking about looking at your dad's pattern, knowing that you're continuing to progress, all right, you have a handle on that reality, and that's good. You also live long enough to not jump in feet first without putting this into your equation. So you already won there. But I do think that if you think you can benefit for a decade with a good hair transplant, especially if it's conservative, that to the point where maybe eventually you could still shave your head, and you'd have to be very conservative, then that's always a possibility. But have you considered, and I'm jumping around here, have you considered maybe wearing hair?
Not really. I'm just too afraid. I mean, I just, you know, whenever anyone detects a hair piece, you just become a laughing stock. And, you know, and I guess maybe there's some better ones out there, but
I think you become a laughing stock if you allow yourself to become a laughing stock. Meaning if you kind of keep it.
Same thing with the bad transplant.
Yeah, I mean, if you keep it on down low, if you like my friend, I say this all the time, Kent Emmons, who now has had 2 transplants by Dr. Scott Alexander. But before he had the transplants, he came to me, and I tell the story all the time. he needs to go on television in 4 months. And he's like, I need to get a transplant because I have to go on television. I'm like, dude, you cannot get a fucking transplant and look normal in 4 months. So I said, I'll tell you what to do. Order a hairpiece, 50% density from this place. Long story short, he got it in the mail. He fucking freaked out because it just, it's like 12 inches of hair or however long it is, 7 inches of hair on this base. He's like, what the fuck am I going to do with this? And I said, trust me. Set him up with a barber. He had it cut in. And this guy looked like $1 million. And the first thing he would tell people when people said, what'd you do different? He goes, I got a rug. And people couldn't believe it because he looked so good. And it was like, there was no laughing stock. I remember I was at a party with him, and he told these people that I was his hair guy. And they thought that, like, I hooked him up or I somehow grew the hair on his head. They didn't understand it. And I said, no, dude, I told
and
him
they
where
thought
to
you were
buy.
wearing a wig, too.
Well, I get that all the fucking time until I'm like, look at my bald spot. It's painted. They're like, and then that's even worse sometimes. They're like, you paint your bald spot? Like, yeah, I paint my bald spot. Anyway, that long story, I say that because this guy was able to live and enjoy his life, and I knew his circle of friends. And what they said behind his back was that he looks great, that it was a good decision. It's because he was open about it. You know, that's the only thing.
So what if you do get the surgery and then like 10 years later, you know, at whatever reason you need to buzz it off? You know, I could live with a decent scar showing a little bit, but what do the plugs look like when you either buzz them to like a 1 or shave them off?
I'll let Joe answer that in a sec, but you know, just if you don't get, first of all, they're not plugs. So if you get plugs, you're fucked. But if you have a really good follicular unit grafts transplant, and they're placed properly, you're going to have very little deviation in your natural skin. So if you look at a guy like Joe Rogan, who, to my knowledge, had at least 2 passes of a hair transplant, he's able to shave his head completely. Yeah, he has a long scar in the back of his head, but he's able to deal with that. When you look at him face forward, it doesn't look like he had anything done. That's the best case scenario.
Yeah.
It's possible.
I think he probably had some sort of resurfacing on the donor scars because he had 2 donor scars, I think.
I don't think so.
Okay, we know he had at least 1.
No, I think the doctor actually just took the second strip out and then created 1 scar.
It could be, yeah.
Yeah.
But regardless, I think there was some resurfacing going on because it's like it doesn't stand out in any images I've seen or video as being like a scar. It blends in quite well. What is that background noise? Are you in your car, caller, Bill?
I am. I'm on my Bluetooth.
Ah, okay.
Did you know you cannot speak to Joe on your Bluetooth? Come on, it bugs him.
No, it doesn't bug me. No, it's just the background noise. I wasn't sure, but
I really miss day drinking, by the way.
One question I didn't hear, or maybe you didn't say. What is your current hair loss status? Like, where do you fall on the Norwood scale? Did Dr. Cooley say?
I'll say about a 5-ish, maybe. He wanted to do 3,000 grafts in the front, and then 500 in the crown for like coverage.
Okay.
So. And now
all right.
Okay, the thing now is now that I canceled, if I change my mind, it's like another year before I could get back in. So, because they're booked out so far.
Yeah, it may be another year, but there's always going to be some cancellation throughout the year, just like you canceled
like
on
mine.
them.
Yeah,
I was going to say there's always going to be someone like you.
Yeah, there's always going to be some motherfucker that cancels on them. But no, honestly, you can get back on if you want to do that, and just say, look, if there's a cancellation, let me know. As long as you're flexible. I'm pretty sure you'll be able to get in earlier.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. That's the nature of the game.
Offered to let me put my deposit towards an exosomes treatment, and I just, and it would still be another $1,500. It'll be like $3,000 total, and I don't know. The results I've seen from exosomes are not that impressive to me, and I asked them who the manufacturer was, see if I could research it a little bit, and they said they used different ones, so they couldn't really tell me, and I think I might just decline that for now too. But
yeah, I would say that if the name is on the download and it's the manufacturer, I remember the manufacturer you used to use, but if the name is on the download, then I think that's a good decision on your part. nothing wrong with what Dr. Cooley is doing. I know that he has a lot of great results, and he's absolutely one of the first guys to really provide PRP and exosomes in his clinic, but I would feel the same way. Is that a bad thing to say, Joe? I'm just being honest.
No, not at all.
Okay, because you're looking at me like you got to take a crap.
No, I'm trying to remember what the question was, because it's like I'll leave this one to Joe, and that was like 7 minutes ago. I don't remember what the question was.
Just sort of the exosomes. I'm that's on my next option if I wanted to put my deposit towards
No,
that.
that wasn't the
Otherwise
question.
I'd lose it.
You're asking like a long-term surgical question. That was way before the exosome thing came up.
So basically, what Joe is trying to
answer?
express is that I cut him off and continued to speak as usual and not give him the mic. And I apologize for that.
It was prefaced by I miss day drinking. It's all good. Bill, okay.
I do that.
So what's the question?
I guess if I'm likely to progress all the way to like a Norwood 7, at some point, am I just going to eventually have a mess on my hands if I get, a transplant now and 15 years down the line, I'm kind of out of donor hair and some of the donor hair is starting to fall out. And...
It's a legit question on the surface until you start digging down into the reality. So you told me that you're a 5-ish. So if Dr. Cooley's putting 500 grafts in the crown, it means that you're not really a 5, but you're showing the early signs of it, maybe a 4 instead, because that would be a bit more in line with what you're describing. And you said that you're following your dad's transition. At the same age, you got the same amount of hair loss, and at his later years, how much further did he progress? Did he actually go to a Norwood 7?
Yeah, I was almost beyond a Norwood 7. There was barely anything left. But he passed at 83, so that was, he was really old. But yeah, there was very little left by the time he died.
Okay, well, it sounds okay. Well, if he went way beyond a 7, like you're saying, then there's more to male pattern hair loss than for his issue. It probably includes senile alopecia, which is a severe miniaturization of the hair follicle. Not due to DHT, it's just age. It's still growing. It's just it doesn't grow as long, and it doesn't grow as thick in diameter. It just becomes finer and finer over time. So I think that when you look at the logic behind this and the way that the physiology actually plays into it, even if you did get, say, 3,000 for the front and you had 1 or maybe 2 more, maybe 3 more, who knows, to continue to cover the entire top, if you did lose all your hair on top, then what happens? Well, if your sides keep dropping, then you wind up having 2 channels on either side of your scalp where you still have all this hair that's been transplanted that will still look natural. The work on its own, assuming you go to a top clinic, be it Dr. Cooley or someone else that has a real experience to provide a natural result, it'll still look okay. And I say that because I know people, I actually showed this in a video a long time ago, maybe before I started working with Spencer, but there are people out there that have that drop on the sides naturally, and they still have a lot of hair on top. It doesn't fit any Norwood pattern that's been established, but it is a pattern that is in nature, where you still have some hair on top, enough to comb, enough to style, but the sides drop, your part line gets really wide. It's a natural, you won't look like a circus act. That's what I'm saying. It won't look like you had a hair transplant. I never understood that take on it. I've heard this, I've heard that fear for over 20 years. I don't want it to look like a hair transplant because of continued hair loss. Who says it will? If you just had a hair transplant in the front and everything else fell out, it still looked natural. I did show that in a video where one of my friends, he's several years older than me, he has that exact pattern. In fact, he still has a good hairline. The frontal third is still good, and if I didn't know him, I would think it was a hair transplant just because that's how strong the front looked. But it was his natural hair, and the pattern behind it was beyond a 6. So I don't think that that's an issue. The only issue is if you're really conscious about the donor scar, assuming that Dr. Cooley will be doing a strip on you, at least for the first surgery. And even then, scar tissue does minimize over time as we age because the skin itself changes. Scar tissue changes, skin changes. Scars don't seem as visible or as severe. And being older means that your scarring is most likely to be less as well because of reduced cellular function in your tissues.
Basically,
so
he's saying we're fucked.
I get it. I am not. I'm saying that he's not.
Yeah,
fucked.
I know. I'm just.
I think that aside from the medication, if you were to have surgery, I don't think it'd be the end of the world if you continue to lose hair. I really don't. You may not like it, but I don't think it'd be as bad as you may think it is. Ultimately, though, if you got a solid game plan and you're not being too aggressive, which Dr. Cooley's not an aggressive doctor, like he can be in some cases, but he does think about the long term. In the meantime, I would suggest you actually consider adding maybe not exosomes, but maybe PRP. Because I know for a fact that his PRP is a really solid protocol. I don't doubt that his exosome protocol would be, but it is newer, and I understand the apprehension on that level. But I think that maybe trying a PRP session just to see if that hair can be revived on some level, because you're not having any luck with the medication. Try that.
I also think if you don't
have
have
it, then you can move forward.
I also think if you don't have the available disposable income for the exosomes, that because it is relatively questionable. We I have seen some really good results, but I've seen very consistent results with the right PRP. So I agree with Joe that because it's newer and because we're still not 100% sure how effective it is, consistently effective. To spend that extra money may not be as valuable, and this is what I would tell anyone, like a family member, than to just go for PRP and give that a shot.
Well, maybe I'll see if they'll let me use my deposit towards the PRP, or if not, I can try to get it locally somewhere here. But
I'm sure that he would.
No.
I'm sure I wouldn't go anything local. I'm sure that he would. You want to go to somebody who has a proven protocol. I know that Jerry does. I know that, I send people to guys who are not part of what we do, like Joseph Greco down in Sarasota, Florida. I mean, very consistent results. We have an old guy, he's young still, but an old listener who's been listening for well over a decade, Destin, he still goes to see Joe, and this guy still has basically a full head of hair. So he was one of the first Bald Truth listeners who went down there. I receive no financing, no sponsorship, no money from this guy. He's just doing it. He's just one of the first to have a really good protocol. But like Joe says, Dr. Cooley seems to be getting really good results too, and he already has your money, so you might want to take advantage of that.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I agree. I agree with Joe's assessment that I think at your age, and I mean I'm older than you, but you're still you said you're 52. I think that there is less of a possibility of being really fucked up in the long term if you decide to have surgery now. And you could probably live with continuing to lose your hair and still look pretty good. And you may end up having more hair in your head than, I mean, are you in a position where you'd ever consider shaving? Did you answer that? Did I ask you that yet?
I really don't want to because my head is kind of misshapen, and I would really. There's a huge sort of sense of relief to just do it and be done with it and forget it all for Christ's sake. But no, I would hate every minute of it.
Dude, I would love to do that, and like I say, I would pull a Joe Rogan. I'd be on TRT and human growth hormone, whatever this fucking guy's taking. I'd be all over that shit. But I look at the vascularity in his arms. I'm like, that's all I would need. But I can't shave my head because I look like, I always say this, Kane from Kung Fu. I have like a longer head. He's got like a short head, so it works.
I love that. That's the best reference ever.
My head wasn't like,
what was that?
I don't think I'd be as bothered by the thinning hair if I had like a symmetrical head, but,
Are you kidding me? If I didn't have a huge forehead, Forget about it. I would have shaved a long time ago. And if I had like really like Andrew Zarian eyebrows, which I can get transplanted, I guess, I'd probably get an eyebrow transplant before I got my crown transplanted, Joe. What do you think about that?
You got someone there in town that would do a good job for you. That would work out.
I'd say, like, give me the Zarian, and then I could shave my head.
Right on.
All right, man. Listen,
Well,
good luck.
Thank you, guys.
All right, and I'm glad, there's nothing wrong with cold feet. Cold feet, it just means that you're really taking the time to do your due diligence and to make sure that you're 100% in. And if you don't feel 100%, then you shouldn't do it. All right.
Well, thank you, boys.
All right.
Have a good night.
Good luck. Take care.
Thanks for calling.
I would look like Mini-Me. Rob, you are you're such a kind person, and I really appreciate the fact that you're in the chat room and that you give me shit all the time. Phone number is 888-659-3727. Why couldn't I look like what's his name? Not Mini-Me, but what's his name? Mike Myers. Why does that have to be the Mini-Me?
They're two separate people, right?
They are separate people. Mini-Me is Mini Mike Myers in the movie.
No. Oh, Dr. Evil Mike Myers.
Yeah.
You do know that they're not. It's not like a small miniature version of Mike Myers playing Mini-Me, right?
Yes, I do. That's why I said Mike Myers, and then there's an actor who's unfortunately passed away, who was beyond a LP. He was like a super LP.
Time to fill the glass again, Mr. Spencer.
He was a super LP, and I actually saw him on, what was that show with Dr. Drew? Celebrity Rehab, which is a great fucking show, by the way. Sick of call. I'm going to be on that show, by the way. Come on, Joe. You got to play with me. 888-659.
I held off because I thought someone was coming on the line.
888-659-3727. Hey, man, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Mr. Spencer, this is Adrian from Melbourne. How are you, buddy?
Adrian,
how are you, man?
Dr. Joe. I'm really good.
Mr. Spencer and Dr. Joe.
Can you hear me okay?
That's good. Yeah.
Speak up. What's going on, man?
Yeah, look. I'm just over 2 months post-op, and I know it's only 2 months, but it just feels fucking incredible, man. Even these little bits of hair sprouting, especially in the last week, it's just an incredible feeling. And I mean, I know that there's a long journey ahead of me, but I'm not even thinking that. I'm pretty busy with work, so I'm not looking in the mirror every second day. But I've just noticed, just after 2 months. I'm like a junior Don King, or in the look of it. There's a lot of beard hair going through it, or might not. But no, I'm excited. I think this is the best thing I've ever done for myself in my life.
I'm so happy to hear that, man. I mean, you're a guy that really deserves to be happy, and after everything that you've been through. And, you've always had an incredible attitude from the minute you called the program, and the fact that you told us that you essentially threw yourself a wig party or a new hair party. And you were always just very open about the situation, even though you were so fucked up. I appreciate that.
Well, there's a hair transplant party, but the tickets are quite expensive, so I don't know who's going to come. But anyway, I'm really happy with this.
That plane ticket from Vancouver would be enough.
Yeah. Look, I think what's going for me now is having gone through those experiences that I did at such a young age, and dealing with the scars that I felt like I had the mark of Cain all my life, and just to sort of look in the mirror and see there's little grafts coming through that and behind that, and I know that in time it's only going to get longer. It's huge, and especially and Joe, that scar in the back, to remove some of those punch graft scars, etc. The feeling of freedom just to stand in a bank queue or at an airport and not think about the person behind you looking at the back of your fucking head. It's just a huge weight that's been lifted.
That's great. I'm really happy for you. Let me ask you. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I got two questions to ask you though, because you said something that was interesting. You said, number one, you're no longer looking at yourself except for like maybe every other day. You know, and I know that that's a lie. You're looking at yourself every hour on the hour. You can't fool me, because I know what it's like. Nothing wrong with it. You can admit it. It's fine. The second thing is, you said you look like a young Don Cheadle, and so I need to ask, you do understand he's an African-American that's about 5 years older than you?
Yeah, I was like, did you get a tan or what? Go ahead. Sorry.
Did you say Don Cheadle?
Don King. No,
Don King.
The boxing promoter.
Well, still, different...
kind of a similar reference in a sense, you know.
Yeah,
different
era
issue,
but I get it. I get it. Okay, I just want to make sure I heard that right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, no, Don King,
Good
the boxing promoter. Yeah, I'm thinking of the beard grafts and whatnot. But
Adrian, I have a question for you. What happens? You're 2 months out. How would you feel if all of a sudden, when the hair started to grow out, and there is like almost a 0 chance that this would happen, but if it didn't work out, that once it started to become a combable length, that things were in all different directions and, you know, whatever. How would you feel about that? I know it's not going to be the greatest thing, but given your experience and given your, you know, years of dealing what you've had to deal with, would you still be relatively happy now that the scar is not as visible and that you can kind of live a more normal life? And I guess the question is, if it's not perfect, would you still be calling the program and saying, what a great experience you had?
Well, they are all growing in different directions, to be honest. And how would I feel if...
well, that's actually that's not a good sign. I'm just kidding. That's how it kind of starts off, so I wouldn't worry about that.
No, seriously. No, I would feel... I knew what I was going in for, and one thing I want the viewers to know, or listeners, I should say, or both, I didn't have to have this done. And I went forward with this procedure in a much different way than I did when I was younger. You know, I didn't go because I was blinded by the social media of this could be me, etc. I went because this was something I was doing for myself.
Yeah.
And I did a lot of research. I spent 2 years into it. I'm fully aware of all. Even now, I mean, I'm 2 months out, but I'm, you know, like I said, I think last time I rang, I'm aware of things like shock loss, possibly permanent shock loss. Not getting good yields in terms of growth, etc. I'm aware. I'm accepting of that, and I think. And Joe has said this before, that a more educated patient makes a better patient. And I'm 55 too, so I don't have the emotional attachment that I would have, that I did have rather at 18, 19, 20, 21.
Dude, you're 55. You're just happy to be alive at this point.
Hell yeah! I mean, you made a good comment before. Yeah, you had a caller before who was saying, how will it look when I'm 72 or whatever? And you were saying, hell, you may not be around at 72. And
Dude, you go to the doctor reality. Tomorrow for a checkup, all of a sudden you get the diagnosis, and that's it. You're getting your fucking affairs in order. That's what happens at our age.
Hell yeah. I mean, look, cricket's not a big thing over there, I know, but Shane Warne, the cricketer, died at 62 from a heart attack. And down here, he's huge.
Yeah. And so that's why I'm day drinking. You got to live every moment.
Yeah, and that absolutely. But and the thing is too, like don't. I guess any advice I want to give is don't live for a future that doesn't exist. You know, don't put on the shelf this idea that I'll be happy once I get a hair transplant, or I'll be happy once I get the next hair transplant, or you know, today is not a given. And I just feel grateful for that, but I just feel that I'm a donor. I mean, I've had 3,200 grafts taken out of it. And I don't know, Joe, if I sent you a pic of the donor just before surgery, but it didn't look great. And I can't believe that it looks the same, or if not, possibly even better. Maybe because I'm growing it out more. But I'm really happy with the donor management of eugenics and the work Dr. Pradeep Sethi did, and Looking forward, look, it's not. I don't have plugs, etc.
Now, did you have Dr. Pradeep? And it's funny, I'm using his first name. Dr. Said he actually do the surgery for you?
He did. He did. And we were in contact for about 2 years before surgery.
Yeah.
So we kept in touch quite a lot, and
so I'm glad that you went for their top tier package, which I actually think is smart because it's still relatively inexpensive.
Well, that's right. And look, maybe if I was a Norwood 3 or something, I don't think I would have.
Yeah.
But there were several challenges we had. One was below average donor. 2, we had scars in the donor area. 3, we had a scar along the hairline. 4, my beard wasn't great. I really believe in my case, and this isn't true for others perhaps, but I know in my case, I really think he was probably the only person who had all the tools in the toolbox to actually pull off what so far I believe.
Let me ask you, hang on. So so you said something interesting. If you were a Norwood 3, you probably would not have gone for the top tier package. Why not?
Because, like I said, I guess, Joe, we had to use beard hair, we had to use chest hair. I wanted someone who's had a lot of experience in this. And
so I understand what you're saying, but let's just. I want to push this through to a logical conclusion. Why would someone that's a Norwood 3 not want to go for the top tier package to make sure they're getting what the clinic believes to be the best package for results, where the doctor's doing all the work?
Okay.
I'm just trying to understand the logic here.
Okay. Well, look, I guess I'd spent a lot of time with Dr. Pradeep on WhatsApp and Skype and for 2 years before, and there was a personal relationship there, which gave me a lot of confidence.
It's amazing because I can't get him to return a fucking text. Go ahead, Adrian.
I missed that. What was that?
Nothing. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, look, and I mean, all the they train all their doctors and tech. The techs have been with him for years, as have the doctors. When it's not like a Turkish hair mill. So I would feel confident going with a lower package if there was less demand in my surgery required. But I really needed to address a lot of issues. That's why it was 60 hours of surgery. It was 6 days straight.
I'm going to tell you a secret, and this is important, Adrian, and I think it's important especially for the younger listeners, because you are a guy who did his research and did his due diligence and understood what he needed to do to get where you needed to be. But even though eugenics and both Arika and Dr. Seti are part of the IHRS, I am not a fan of the lower tier packaging systems of any of these clinics. I really believe that if you believe that you can offer a better outcome if you perform the surgery, then that is what should be done for every single patient. And I believe that if patients are just shopping by price to go for associate physicians in a practice, that's never a good thing.
Yeah.
I don't like that that's what's being presented. I've expressed that publicly. And listen, they all pay membership dues to be a part of what I do. I'm very honest about this reality. You're not going to see this online. I don't like that practice. I don't like that practice being done anywhere in the world. So I don't agree that you should go for, based on certain circumstances, that you should go on the cheap. I'm not a believer of that.
And I kind of look at it from the point that if you're doing your research and you've determined that this clinic with these doctors are the best option for you, then why would you get all the way to the finish line and then not actually cross it? If that's a reasonable comparison, because your goal is to get the best possible from the best clinic, but you're stopping short of that finish line, where by choosing the doctors whose names are on the door, that's crossing the finish line. That's just the way I look at it. And I understand different people have their perspectives on this, but it just doesn't make sense to me where if I do choose a clinic where there's one doctor or there's two doctors and they're sharing equal billing, why would I not want to go for those doctors as opposed to people that they trained?
Yeah, and I call bullshit. I call bullshit in the whole practice.
Yeah.
I don't like it, and I'm very honest about it. And it's nothing to do with. I mean, these are both very ethical surgeons, and I'm sure that they train their staff really well. But if it were my head or a family member's head, I'd be like, you pay the extra money. There's a reason why these people have more time on tissue. You want to go with people with the most experience.
And I don't even look at it as paying extra money. I look at it as paying the money, and then if there are other options, they're discounted options. The money's the money. It's not extra. It's just the money. And then everything else, any other packages are just discounts. And that's why I look at it.
And maybe if they're listening to the show, I will get that text back from Pradeep.
Yeah, and I'm not bringing this up, Adrian, to give you a hard time. It's just I was curious about your logic behind why you would not have gone to with the higher package of Dr. Pradeep. You would have been relegated to or happy with the lower tier packages if you're just a Norwood 3, which I guess your reasoning is it doesn't require the experience that your current case involved because of the previous experiences, the previous surgeries, things like that. I understand it. I disagree with it, but I understand it. And I wasn't giving you a hard time about it. I just want to see what your logic was.
No, I don't think he thinks we're giving him a hard time. He gets it.
Yeah, you
never know.
Yeah.
No, all good. I see where you're coming from because if you go along that argument, you can end up at a Turkish shamble in that theory because why would you go there if you could go to somewhere better to begin with?
Well,
so
Adrian, I was honest when I started the program. I recently had to remove someone from the IHRS, and this is a guy who is, ABHRS certified by the American Board of Hair Restoration Surgery. He's a fellow of the ISHRS. He was, he slipped through the cracks, or I say he deserved to be a part of the IHRS. And something changed in the last year or so where he brought on some new help. And these technicians did not do the job that this guy was accepted for to be a part of the IHRS. And it freaked me the fuck out. I mean, I could not believe it. Now, is he going to be removed from the ISHRS? Is he going to lose his fellowship? No. Is he going to be removed? And is he going to still be able to keep his board certification from the ABHRS? 100%. Is that going to be on his website? 100%.
No.
But in what we do, we can't tolerate that shit. At least I can't tolerate that shit. Is he going to be part of other networks and forums? 100%. But this is why it's so important that people have to, no matter how much research you do, Adrian, you've done a lot of research, you have to know who is working on your head. And if someone tells you they've been with us for a long time, prove it. Let me see patients. Let me speak to patients who had this technician perform surgery on them. You have to ask these questions.
Yeah.
And you did all your research. You're going to come away with a great result. But I got to tell you, there's going to be other people who may follow your lead who don't ask the right questions based on just, okay, I'm going to go to the same clinic and may not get the same results that you're going to get. So that's why we're bringing this up, man.
Absolutely. And look, to be fair too, someone could go through exactly the same surgeon I did with the same needs, and they may not get as good a result, or they may get a better result. I mean, no two individuals are the same biologically in how they respond.
That's true. I will tell you though, he's got a really good track record. So I think you picked a winner for yourself.
Oh yeah, I'm very happy. And the follow up has been weekly, and we're talking 2 months down the track now. Which is what I like about him. But that was established even before surgery. But look. I'm just happy with it. I put a lot of time and effort into going ahead with it, and like I said before, I didn't go into this with, I'll be so happy once it's done. I chose to have this done. I didn't rush it like I tried it the first time and I saw the results of that. So I thought, no, look, do you really need it? And I thought, well, I don't need it, but it's something I'd like. And with that, I took my time with looking at what the possibilities were. I didn't even know if it was possible to have surgery and have those goals ticked off. The scars were probably as much of a problem for me as hair loss was. And the S&P, yeah, that got me through, but, up close, you could still see it. And I just sort of, that feeling when, Joe, say when you had your mini grafts or whatnot, and people are looking up at your head, not at your eyes, and you just sort of have that feeling in your gut, and you just push through it. That's how I sort of felt.
Dude,
I thought
it was the worst.
I could, yeah, and I thought, well, you can live with that, and I thought, well, yeah, but I don't have to, and so that's why I just kept pushing and researching, and if it wasn't Dr. Pradeep or Dr. Erika Bansal, I don't think I would have gone ahead with it. I know there are other doctors out there, but I just thought, I just thought it's more than just hair for me, what I needed, and he just seemed to tick all the boxes.
No, I think you did a good job in your due diligence, and I think you picked the right physicians for your particular situation for sure. So, Adrian, we're going to let you go. I always appreciate you calling. The fact that you're calling in from Australia is it's amazing. And, you've helped a lot of young guys in this community, and I just want to thank you for that. I mean, you really give it a lot of time to people. And I think that, providing people with hope, guys who've been fucked up, that there is hope that you can be repaired is huge.
There is. Especially, like you say, for the young guys, there's hope. And even the guys our age walking around with plugs who feel there's nothing they can do, there is.
Absolutely.
There's a lot that can be done. So I sort of appeal to people of that ilk as well. But look, thank you guys once again for your show, because if it wasn't for your show, I wouldn't be here ringing you with what I've just had done. So thank you.
Man, thank you. And I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Good luck, man. Good talking to you.
All right.
Take care.
Take care, guys.
Take care,
Bye-bye.
Adrian.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, I got that problem, like, when I'm talking to people, they're staring at my crotch, and it makes me feel really uncomfortable, Joe. Phone number is 888-659.
It's because you wear your pants around your head. That's why.
That's true.
You're looking through the zipper. Can you see me? Hello?
I think they're too tight because I'm trying to stay young. 888-659-3727. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from? Hey, caller, you're on the air.
Hello?
Caller, man, can you hear us? I don't hear you. I'll give you a
Hello,
second.
can you hear me?
Wait.
There he is.
Hey, caller, we hear you. What's up?
Am I on the line?
You are. Who's this?
You
hey,
are.
how's it going? So, I'm just calling in, first time caller. I thank you for all you do for the community. You guys are underappreciated, and everybody in the chat, make sure you leave a like.
Oh, man, that's very, very nice of you, man.
I like this guy.
What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm Joe, calling from Jersey.
What's happening,
Hello, Joe?
And you're absolutely right. Joe Tillman is underappreciated. We got to get more people interested in his channel.
That's what I'm trying to say, man.
Yeah.
But
Appreciate it, man.
So, no problem. So I'm early 30s. Probably in Norwood, 2.5. I've been doing my research probably for the last 5 to 6 years. I've been doing it for a while, and I had originally scheduled an appointment with Dr. D probably right before the pandemic, and the pandemic gave me some more time to do more research and just reconsider like I know you're not going to want to hear this, but cause versus worth type of thing.
Say it again.
I said it gave me more time to think about the cost versus the worth, because I know that certain we call it surgeons, they make you, they overprice their service, plus they do it in a certain way that they make you come back for a second one type of thing. So
That's actually not untrue. That can possibly be the case. Sure.
Yeah. I started considering that, and that brought me to another thing you're not going to hear. Started looking at Turkey. So started looking at that.
Hold on, I must be going there. Start looking at what?
Started looking into Turkey.
Turkey. Okay. Well, listen, I'm going to be completely honest. There are good doctors and clinics in Turkey. They're just fucking hard to find.
So I've been doing my research for a while. I'm actually part of a community that, like a Facebook community that actually we all pretty much, show each other results and show each other we just.
Can you promote the Bald Truth in there a little bit? Because I'm sure these guys they hate us.
They know. I don't know about the hating you guys, but some of them are actually in the chat right now. I see them right there. So, yeah.
Hey, but before you continue, take the link to the show, which is below the screen on the video screen. There's a share button. Take that link and paste it into your group, so they can watch it inside the group.
So come on, I'm going to be 57 soon. I'm still doing this shit. Let's get some eyeballs.
I got you guys. I got you. I'll even send the replay. I got you.
All right.
So, so since then, I just, there's certain places in Turkey such as, Hair of Istanbul, Dr. Kemez, certain places like that. But recently, I've been looking into someone that you guys had an interview with, I think a few years ago. What's his name? I'm actually filling out his consultation right now. Weymaz or something like that.
Who?
I'm not sure if you know. Let me find his name real quick.
All right, take your time, man.
I was actually watching your video too. It was like an old interview with him.
I'm about to ask for my third glass of wine, so just whatever. I'm here.
I see you got the nice white wine. I see what you're doing over
I'm drinking a little rosé today. I have a little female friend here that's hooking me up.
That's the tone. Okay, I found him. Patrick Wumaba.
Oh,
Mwamba. Yeah,
Patrick's great. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought you said you're talking about Turkey. He's in Belgium.
Yeah.
He also comes to Jersey too, if I'm not mistaken, right?
To Jersey?
If I'm not mistaken, does he only work?
I know he comes to Atlanta.
I know he goes to Atlanta. It's possible he does consults in New York and New Jersey. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like I said, I was looking into Turkey first, but I don't want to do do what everyone else is doing type of thing. I want to just because like I said, I only have a 2.5, 3. I don't want to
I'm going to ask you a question. What kind of hair do you have?
Curly.
Okay. So is it Caucasian curly, Afrocentric curly? Is it Asian?
African American curly.
Okay. The guy does really good work. I mean, that's a guy you should absolutely, if you're considering a hair transplant, that's a guy you should consider for sure.
Yeah, and I don't see anyone talking about him, so it's kind of thin that I think he might be a hidden gem. I'm trying to
it's funny. He's been around. He's been around for fucking ever, but people have stopped talking about him, and I don't know why. I think he kind of got lost in all the bullshit that's out there. And he's really good at what he does. You have him, Basanga. They all trained and worked with John Cole back in the day, and so they have really good hands. They learn how to do it correctly from the beginning, and he has a lot of experience with Afrocentric hair.
So, in regards to African American hair, so I should in my notes I have calculate square. Just to make sure that density is one of my main concerns. So should I do you believe in 50 grafts per centimeter? Are those some of the notes that I should
No.
For you, that could be too much for sure. Go ahead.
Let me stop you right there. When you're looking at when you got notes written down about what questions to ask, and they involve questions about density of 50 per square centimeter. That means that you're not asking questions that are specific to you, because you're kind of you could easily deal with 30 per square centimeter and look like you got a full head of hair. That's just a fact, because it depends on the tightness of the curl of your hair. But I'll put it like this: I've seen I remember when I was first getting started in the industry, and we'd have some Afrocentric patients coming in, and they would have maybe a Norwood 4A loss, which is significantly more than you. And that, for a standard Caucasian with maybe average type of hair, where it's straight, average coarseness.
Would you consider me a standard Caucasian, Joe, or?
You're not standard anything.
Okay, I'm just curious. That's a very interesting term.
But just nothing too curly, too coarse, nothing like that. It would take maybe 3,500 to 4,000 grafts on a Norwood 4A to get what most people would determine to be acceptable density, acceptable coverage. An African American patient coming in, or in my case, a Canadian African patient, it could be 2,000 to 2,500 easy.
Yeah, I was
full coverage.
When I did my consultation with Dr. Deep, he said I just need 2,000. But I think it would probably be 2,000 to 2,500 just for density purposes, if anything.
Well, again, like the density purposes for you are. Look, I've not seen your pictures or videos, so I have no idea what your hair actually looks like. But when you're talking about, say, a Norwood 3, the average rule of thumb for Caucasian hair is 1,000 to 1,200 grafts per Norwood level. So a Norwood 3 would be around 3,000 grafts to get good density, as you said.
Mm-hmm.
Curly hair can be half that.
100%. Mm-hmm. And also, Afrocentric hair, in general, the hair actually curls on itself. It's not like Caucasian curly hair. It is and also there is less contrast between your scalp and your hair. So, I mean, here's the thing. Even thinking about going to Turkey, in my estimation, I know you're not now because you're talking about Mwamba, but even that thought process, being an African American or being Afrocentric, I have never seen a great hair transplant, Turkish hair transplant on Afrocentric hair. Very
I could tell you. I can show you some things, man.
Show me that shit. Just send it over to Joe.
Yeah, I can show you some things that might blow your mind.
Dude,
you gotta say that, but like I said, there's people going there every week, and some are better than others, but there's quite a few that are starting to come in.
I gotta tell you, not that I don't believe you. And this is something that you guys need to know. I get all the shit across my desk. All the people who have been fucked up contact us.
They don't show it. I understand. I get that. Yep.
Well, let me. Okay, so I missed the first part, but I think you're saying that a lot of black people do go to Turkey, and you're seeing a lot of people in your group coming up with the results. Is that what you said? Okay.
Yes, sir.
So here's why. Here's why. Like I know some clinics in Turkey, some of these mill clinics in Turkey, they're showing more. I think more now than ever results of black hair, and the reason why they're able to do it is because, well, first off, they're not showing the donor region in most of these cases, because in order to get, what's that?
I don't play those games. Like, there's a lot of people that they try to promote just the front. No, I always need to see the back.
He's like, I know what's going on.
And you won't see the back.
Yeah.
I've been checking these out for a while. And he actually, you sound like you're very well informed.
Let me see the back.
Yeah, exactly. So, but what you're seeing, here's the surefire way to get easy African American growth. Big punches. That's it.
Yeah.
You use a big enough punch, then it'll grow for days. But here's the problem. African hair is easier to work with for hairlines than it is with Caucasian hair, because you don't have to worry about the uniformity of direction and angle.
Really?
No, you don't. Like there's a slight consideration that needs to be taken into the equation, but no.
Well, think about it. When you look at African American hair, Afrocentric hair, I mean, in general, the hair in the front hairline is not growing forward. The hair now, I would say the considerations are probably in the temporal areas and on the sides as far as angles, Joe. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, that's what I was going to be my next question. I was going to be like, yeah, okay.
All right, Joe's going to contradict me again. Go ahead, Mr. Tillman.
No, I think, in my view, the only thing that really matters for the aesthetic is the shape. And let me back up. Not the only thing that matters. I mean, of course, placement details do matter, but not nearly as much as they do on a pasty whitey tidy like myself. Like my hair direction and angle is uniform with only a gradual change in direction and angle that creates a flow. And that's the way hair is naturally. With African hair, it doesn't matter so much because even if the exit angle is different from one follicle to the next, it's all curly. Because once it exits the scalp, it goes in any which direction it wants.
So wait a second. Are you saying that all African hair looks alike? Is that what you're saying, Joe?
No, no. Actually, the opposite.
I'm just fucking
the exact
with you. Come
opposite.
on, man.
It doesn't
I'm
look
having
alike.
some drinks.
But once it grows out, there are cellular signaling or signals that occur that actually do help for that wave that you get when it grows longer to be consistent.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we're diving deep here, but
yeah. But
the bottom line is when you see black people going to Turkey and they're coming back with this full growth, that's great. But there's two things. The shape and design is usually just dog shit, like it just looks horrible. And the something you don't see in nature. They'll transplant in the design that you want to get when you go to the barber shop. That's the way they actually place the hair. So instead of shaping your hair, all you got to do is cut it down because the shape that you want when you go to the barber is already there. And that's not the way to do a hair transplant. But then the other problem is they take way too much because you see all these black guys going to Turkey and they're getting 4,000, 5,000 grafts and they're not even bald. That is far too much hair. Far too much hair.
Yeah,
and the only reason why they're getting it is because the clinic recommends it because that's how they make their money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are the ones I'm definitely staying away from. Definitely, I'm not. I definitely don't need that many grafts.
I want to tell you that.
So here,
I'm sorry, Joe. Go ahead. Sorry, man. Go ahead.
So the last thing I'll say to you is, there's another name I want you to consider. I'm not telling you to go to this clinic, but you seem interested in finding little-known gems.
Alvarez.
That not many people talk about. See,
Alvarez.
you had to do it, motherfucker. Motherfucker, you had to jump in.
Do you think I'm an idiot?
Dr. Alvarez.
I've been doing this for 24 years, yo.
How do you spell his name?
No, I know that you knew, but yet you had to jump in on the surprise. No, it's Dr. Alvarez in Dominican Republic.
How do you spell
Outstanding.
His name?
Her name is Alba, A-L-B-A.
A-L-B-A.
And the last name is R-E-Y-E-S, Dr. Alba Reyes.
And look, I'm usually not a fan of the whole cosmetic surgery tourism thing, but if you're going to travel from the U.S. to some place to get a hair transplant and you want to spend less money, I would much rather go to the DR, in my view, than Turkey. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. That's a good gem right there. Definitely appreciate that one.
I mean, because you're in Jersey, you said, right?
Yep.
So it's a fucking 3-hour flight. It's going to be less expensive. Mm-hmm. And you could buy a woman for a sandwich over there.
Oh, weak. I have one more question.
Yeah.
What's your
You
opinion
could buy a woman. Jesus Christ.
I see what you did there.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yes, sir.
It's legal. Come
I have
on.
one more question. What's your opinion on the difference between DHI and FP?
Dude, Joe, I'm gonna give you that angle so you can answer that fucking question.
Is that just like another way?
What was the question?
He wants to know about DHI, not the clinic, but the technique.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that just another ripoff, or is that like, is it really what they're like trying to sell? Like,
Well, of course they're trying to sell it, but okay. So there's DHI and there's Dht Technique. Dht is the only technique that's actually been written about and peer reviewed in a peer reviewed journal. Just had to get that out there. It's basically the same approach. So what you're talking about is extracting the graft and then turning around and placing it back into the recipient area using implanter pins without any sort of prep, just taking it out and sticking it back in for the least amount of time outside the body, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's what
there is a benefit. Yeah, there is a benefit to that, but the downside is you don't have an opportunity to actually trim the grafts and refine them using microscopes, and that is one of the tenets of follicular unit transplant surgery. You got to use microscopes, and only with follicular unit transplant or with microscopes can you achieve the best results possible as far as the aesthetic, not the fine details of the aesthetic, not the overall growth. Like you can get great growth, but using microscopes you have the refinement that people look for, so that they can say legitimately, no one knows I've had a hair transplant.
Mm-hmm.
So DHI, like, the concept is solid. And in fact, I mean, there are ways to do it effectively that are not so direct like that, to take from the name DHI. But there are ways to do it where it's not exactly the same way. I think the biggest benefit to the DHI technique isn't so much the out of body time reduction, so much it is the implanter pins, because even clinics like Hassan Wong, where I cut my teeth on, Dr. Wong is using implanter pins now. He's still doing pre-made slits, but they're using dull implanter pins to place the grafts, because they do allow for less damage across the board compared to tweezers when inserting grafts. But ultimately, it doesn't really matter in the end, because the technique is irrelevant as long as the clinic that you're choosing can demonstrate an ability that you can see in their photos and videos of fine-tuned refinement, fine skills in making sure that it looks completely natural. That's all that matters. Good growth, natural results, and the difference between how they accomplish it and the next clinic accomplishes it, even though they also get really natural results with good growth, is completely irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
So don't focus so much on that, because you could have one clinic that uses DHI and they got all the latest buzzwords about how they do things, and their results are crap. When you got another clinic over here, really good results, but they're using technology from 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Look, Drunk Spencer's
the tool's
back,
only
and
good as the
let me tell
hand
you,
that wields it.
It's all bullshit out there, man. So whatever you think you're learning, you've learned a lot.
Thank you,
the fact that you've come on the program, you're in this group, you're asking the right questions, you've definitely learned a lot. The fact that you're considering Dr. Mwamba, that's fucking great.
Yeah.
But yeah, Joe is absolutely right. The majority of stuff that you see online, even in these chat groups, and there's so much bullshit being spewed. And I think that for whatever reason, maybe you kind of remind me of myself. You have the wherewithal to step back, man, and realize, all right, maybe this isn't for me, and you're asking the right questions. So you're on the right track. Yep. And definitely look up Alba Reyes. I'm not saying that she's any better than Mwamba by any means.
I just did, and my question is, why? My last two questions is, one, is she HRS? Like, is she part of your group?
She is, yeah.
Okay, that's a
not
good.
mine, but
two,
yeah, IHRS, yes.
But two, why doesn't she fucking promote that on her website? That's the fucking big
she
thing.
needs to. You need to tell her to upload some more videos, because the last video she posted was 11 years ago, which is.
Dude, I almost spit on my mic.
Well,
look.
I can tell you this:
she's really good.
I've worked with her in the back end on her GHLS 2021 presentation, where she was talking about how to transplant Afrocentric hair. And she has a lot of experience with this, being in the Dominican Republic. She's got a lot of mulatto patients. And I've worked with her in the background on,
I've got to stop
on a
you for
lot
a
of this
second.
stuff.
If you're in the DR, mulatto is politically correct. In the U.S. and Canada, you can't say mulatto anymore, dude.
Mulatto.
You are that is off the fucking table. It's biracial.
Oh, man. Everything is, it's a Friday. Everything.
What was that?
It's a Friday. Everything is a go.
Well, listen, man,
it's a drinking Friday, apparently.
Yeah,
Everything's
listen,
a go.
We're going to take another call, but I hope that we're able to help you in some way, man.
Oh, you definitely did. And I appreciate you both. And yeah, have a good one. Appreciate it.
All right, dude. And you promote the show. Joe needs some fucking subscribers.
Put the link in your group once you hang up.
Got you.
All right, dude. Good luck.
Thanks for calling, man.
Let us know what you do.
Have a good one.
All right, take care. Bye-bye. The phone number is 888-659-3727. I'm Spencer Kobren. I'm here with Joe Tillman. We're talking about hair loss, hair transplantation. This is what we do every week. I've been doing this for 24 years. Don't ask me why. I should have my fucking head examined. But we are here to answer your calls. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hello?
Hello.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Yes, I can. Great. Yeah, great to talk to you guys again. I spoke to you about 3 shows ago. My name is Robert. I'm in Sacramento.
Hey, Robert.
And
welcome.
Hello, Robert.
Good to talk.
Let me ask you, is Sacramento any better than L.A. at this point? Because L.A. is insane.
You mean with the lockdown nonsense?
Well, the lockdown is everything's kind of like opened up now, but the crime, what's happening? I mean, when I came here 20 years ago, I was like, this is fucking paradise. Now, I'm trying to figure out, do I go to Texas? Do I move to Florida? What do I do?
Well, I got to tell you, as far as, Northern California goes, people in Southern California, they usually call it a cow town up here.
Yeah.
So it's that much slower. But,
yeah.
I mean, I really like Sacramento. I'm from back east originally, and when I came here, I came to the Central Valley, and, the weather is just unbelievable compared to back east.
Back east where?
I don't, well, I lived 25 years in Florida, and I was born in Philly. So,
What part of Florida?
I know what humidity is.
Well, we both know what humidity is. And Florida, Philly, to me.
Boca, Fort Lauderdale area.
Philly's a great town. It's a fucking great town.
Yeah, Philly is a great town.
Yeah.
Philly's a great town. Just don't go to the wrong area. You might not come back alive. So.
Same with New York, man. I grew up in New York. I literally grew up 15 blocks from Harlem.
Okay. Then
So
you know the score.
we could not walk past 96th Street without fearing for our lives at that time. Things have changed.
As far as Sacramento goes, I really like it. It's an actual city. There's like 500,000 people here, just in the city, and then you have these outlying suburbs and everything like that. And the prices are still a lot cheaper than what you guys are doing in Southern California. But however, I must say everything in California is whacked out as far as pricing goes. So I'm thinking of going back to Florida or, like you were saying, even maybe Texas.
Well, pricing, taxes. I mean,
taxes,
whether you own or if you're going to buy a home, if you're going to rent a home or an apartment, everything is so insanely expensive in California now.
Yeah, it's really freaking creepy. So, and then it's like the homeless people are. My heart goes out to them, and you go by a homeless camp, and it's just like it looks like literally the junkyard now because they hoard so much crap. And
all right, let's put it this way, and we'll talk about your hair in a second. But I am in Beverly Hills, and literally across the street at night, people they put up their tents and they're screaming, having fights over like a bag of Cheetos.
Yeah.
So,
This
is the reality that we live in right now.
Yeah, it's really sad. I am definitely, I've been having this struggle for the last year trying to figure out what I'm going to do, the direction I'm going to go. I'm 61 years old, and it's like, well,
dude, you sound like you're in your 30s, man. It's so funny.
Well,
I hear people on the phone, and I was on the radio for so long, I would normally be able to detect or kind of figure out their age. Every once in a while, there's a guy like you who sounds super young.
Well,
most guys in their 60s, they already sound bitter and fucking beaten up. Good for you, man.
Yeah, I'm Italian, so we age a lot different than a lot of other Europeans. So,
dude, I'm a Jew. I get it.
Yeah. So, Jews and Italians, I mean, they really age well, usually, in general. So, anyways, I talked to you guys 3 weeks ago. You probably don't remember. You talked to too many people, blah, blah, blah. At the time, I was talking about going to Dr. Pradeep.
I do remember,
Okay.
Yep.
So I contacted them, and because of the time difference here in California with them, I mean, it's really crazy. You almost have to get up in the middle of the night to talk to them. But
it's 12 and a half hours.
Yeah. So the long and the short of it was I've been going back and forth with them on WhatsApp and sent them the pictures, blah, blah, blah. And they told me, I know I didn't talk to the doctor. I talked to whoever their sales representative was, and he said that I needed 4,000 grafts in the front plus, I'm not quite sure on the way he worded it. Probably he was saying that I needed 3,300 grafts in the front. They told me I'm a Norwood 5, okay? They told me I needed 3,300 grafts in the front plus 700 grafts in the temple areas. Now, I have very prominent temple points. However, I have that deep, like, you remember Hogan's Heroes? What's his name on the captain from Hogan's Heroes when we were kids? How Bob Crane, he had that. Yeah, okay. So I have like kind of that kind of a look going on, but I have diffuse thinning from the mid-scalp back, all right? So in any event, they told me with the 4,000 grafts, they would be able to fill up basically to the mid-scalp, and then he said, which I thought was rather bizarre, being that I'm 61 years old, him knowing my age and all, that, just start taking finasteride and maybe the back will fill in. So
that's not really bizarre. There's a real possibility that could happen.
Well, that would be a gift from God.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
I just started taking the finasteride 2 weeks ago, and because of you guys, I listened to all the horror stories about the finasteride that is not Proscar, the original one, and how that can affect the way that it maybe you have an adverse effect or maybe it doesn't work. So I'm on the non-generic, and the doctor and everybody else told me I was crazy to pay that kind of money for this stuff, but I'm not going to take.
What kind of money is it? It's one night of drinking. Big fucking deal.
Well, for 1 month of Proscar 5 milligram, 30 tablets, it's $170 at Costco now.
Yeah, and you cut that in quarters, and that's nothing.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. So yeah, but compared to I think it's $20 for the same thing, generic, and that's
Absolutely,
why you could do it and you'd have it forever almost. At, $20. In any event, getting past all that, I mean, it would be awesome. I have been doing the Rogaine for the last 6 months and microneedling. I told you guys before. I have seen hair growing back. There is a thickening of what I had, and maybe even a little. Maybe it came forward and maybe a half an inch. It's very sparse. Nothing of major import. But I'm calling mainly because after I got done talking to them, I talked to Dr. Alba Reyes' office, and I spoke to Vanessa. And Vanessa told me that she had just spoken to Joe about 2 weeks before I called. And, she had nothing but good things to say about Joe. Now, I can't say anything bad about Joe because all I can see is good things with you guys. So, in any event, I used Joe's questionnaire that he has on his website, and she was blown the hell away with all the freaking questions. And she told me nobody ever has asked her that many questions that had any kind of worth even close. So there you go, Joe. Give yourself a hand of applause.
Good for you.
You are the man. So I mean,
it's a slow clap if I ever heard one.
Yeah, so
we love Joe.
To continue on with this story, basically, she told me something different than what they told me, and I started to press her about it. So I said, "How many grafts do I need?" And she said the same thing about, I'm losing it from the center, mid scalp, back, and blah blah blah, and that I needed. What did she say? 2,500 grafts for the front, which is so far different from what they told me in India that it's I'm starting to question really, because I've been doing this research for 10, 15 years. Do a lot of these clinics just inflate the number of grafts that they say you need and then charge you for them? Because who's going to sit there and freaking count them all?
That is a great question.
Is that what's going on here?
Yeah. So I'll tell you, I've had this question more times than I can count, especially when I used to work for one of the clinics that back in the day was known for doing more grafts in one setting than any other clinic anywhere. And when I would get this question, it makes a lot of sense why people would say, well, all these other clinics told me half the grafts that you guys. Hello, can you hear me?
Hello. Yeah. Joe's cut out. I don't think his audio must have gone out.
No, this is Joe.
Oh, Joe. Oh, okay. Yeah. All of a sudden it went blank. Nothing. I heard nothing. So you were saying about what you were thought happened years ago with the graft.
Yeah. So when I would get that question, it's a logical question, but you have to understand that different clinics have a different comfort level with the number of grafts that they're going to transplant, even if two clinics are looking at the exact same patient. And a lot of it has to do with the idea that, we can get more grafts, I need to back that up. We are used to getting more grafts, so we feel this guy could use this number, and then the other clinic is like, well, we're used to working within a certain parameter in our practice, and so we feel this is appropriate for the same patient, right, between both clinics. It doesn't mean one is better than the other. It just means that, and this is not in any way related to the two clinics that you're talking about, but sometimes you get a clinic that will recommend more grafts, and if it's an obscene number, then you got questions about maybe survival rates when you get so high, or donor management, things like that. And then the other clinic, the question is, all right, well, will I need a second surgery just to fill in, because if that's not enough? Those are the real questions you got to ask yourself. But it doesn't mean that one is right and the other one's not, because you're looking at two really high level clinics, and they may have a different. They actually may have a different visualization of your outcome than you do, and from each other.
So this leads me to the next thing. They do at Alvarez, I'm sure you're aware of how they charge their charging method. One is they give you a flat price for the FUT, and then for the FUE, they give you a price of $2 each. And Vanessa said that the doctor does not like to do more than 2,500 grafts of FUE at a time. So I said, well, how many can you get out of the FUT? Because really, honestly, after listening to you guys for years, I'm leaning towards the FUT, because you said, I've never had the surgery before, so it's like first time, blah, blah, blah. Go with the FUT because you can get more grafts. It's like virgin territory and so on. So it's like, so I said, how many can you get out of the FUT? She goes, well, I don't know for sure, but maybe sometimes they can get up to 3,000 grafts out of an FUT. Does that sound realistic, or is everybody different?
It sounds
100%.
Yes, and yes. It sounds reasonable. It sounds. It doesn't sound like there's anything wrong with that, but it's also what they're used to doing, and this is a classic, because look, no one can say for sure what they can get out of your scalp, because you are sight unseen. Even if they see your photos, they're not able to gauge the laxity, the vertical movement of your scalp, which determines how wide of a strip they can get. They can determine how long they'll go on the sides, but they may not go very long on the sides, like say Dr. Hassan would, where he goes so far forward you got to book the end of it in your calendar. But I just made that up. It's pretty good.
I like that.
But other clinics will take a shorter strip, and that affects the number of grafts you'll get. Some clinics will take a more narrow strip, which affects the number of grafts that you get. Sometimes you can't take a wide strip simply because your physiology doesn't allow it. Your scalp is too tight. So a lot more factors go into limiting the number of grafts you can get with FUT than they do with FUE.
Okay. All right.
Here's the thing. You said you're 61, right?
Yeah, I'm 61.
Okay. I spoke at a conference about 3 years ago, and it was a conference that was essentially for doctors who were only doing robotic surgery, robotic FUE. And I got a question from the peanut gallery, and the question was, so you would go for robotic FUE before any other type of surgery? And I said, absolutely not. I said, given my age, given the way that I wear my hair, and given the fact that I understand the reality of hair transplant surgery, I would absolutely go for a strip. It was like silence. They didn't understand why I would consider that because they believed that FUE is state of the art. FUE or strip, I should say, is archaic. It's something that should no longer be done. The reality is, strip, in my view, is still, especially for the initial procedure, if you need a lot of hair, is the gold standard. And most people will never admit that in this industry, but that's how I feel. And I think Joe might agree. What's up, Joe? What are you laughing at?
100%. Just little notes going on.
Spencer, you look happy, brother. Yeah, I do. I'm very happy.
I have, I'm Italian, so I have like a medium curly type hair. And when it's wet, it really curls. When it dries out, I could pass for Dolly the sheep because it just grows straight off like Curly from the Three Stooges off the side of my, it just grows straight out and straight up. So, if I don't put a ton of gel in it, it looks pretty goofy. But in any event, I assume, it's like with the Afrocentric hair, does that mean that I need less grafts per centimeter?
In general, yes. I mean, what's your, do you have gray hair at this point?
I color it, like everybody else that wants to not look their age.
Okay. Well, if you don't color it and you decide to go white or gray, you will even have a better result in the end. So there's going to be less contrast between your scalp and your hair.
I gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, I'm quite happy to have a widow peak type hairline, my age and all that. And I've always had, I started losing my hair when I was about 21, and I've had a widow's peak since that time. And
how amazing is that? I'm just like you. I was about 21 years old, and the fact that we've been able to maintain what we have for so long, and still, like, you're talking about getting a transplant now at 61. I think that's encouraging for a lot of young guys.
Well, the other thing is because I am 61, I don't want this to go on for years. With getting multiple transplants. Is like I'd rather. Can I tell them that I don't? I mean, I already showed her pictures of like people with like Jude Law's hairline is not what a lot of men would aspire to, but I mean something like a little bit more than what he's got, maybe with the same kind of a peak.
That'd be great.
I mean, is that
if you can be comfortable in that, then that's absolutely a great example for sure. It's very conservative. It's the way that, listen, the great thing about being older and having hair transplants, you're not thinking about the hair you had as a teenager or in your early 20s. You've already accepted what you've been dealing with for so long.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's appropriate for sure.
Would they be able to go into the mid scalp and the crown area with like 3,000 grafts if that was the case?
Yeah, I mean they can put the grafts anywhere, but the problem is.
I know, but I mean, like, are they going to get any kind of coverage at all in the back, or no? Joe's shaking his head.
3,000 grafts is not a lot of grafts, man. I mean, it's a decent amount of grafts, but it's not a tremendous amount of grafts.
So basically, it's 2 surgeries no matter what.
You're going to establish a good hairline with 3,000 grafts and some mid-anterior scalp. I would not waste those grafts in the crown, in my opinion. And Joe could talk to the point more.
Well, I think it's a matter. Well, you said you got a widow's peak, but how much hair loss in general do you have? I thought you said early on that you're diffused from the mid scalp backward.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. What about from mid scalp forward?
There's nothing. It's just like I told you. It basically became a widow's peak and just started I guess from where I was in high school, it's probably going back about 2.5 inches, 3 inches from where I originally was. And so now I have a widow's peak with diffuse thinning from that point mid scalp back. And the crown is even thinner than that middle part. So
okay, I think I got a better because of what you're telling me about how eugenics gave you their recommendation. You got hair, you got a forelock, not a widow's peak, and you're not bald on top. You're just thin. Is that a better assessment?
It's not a forelock. No, it's basically the way that they break your scalp up. You have the frontal area, then you have the mid, then you have the central region, then you have the crown. So from the central region, from the frontal area is bald. And then from when it gets to the central region, it forms a widow's peak, literally, like Dracula kind of, but not as pointy in the front. And then it's diffused, thinning from there all the way to the back where I'm not losing any hair. So on the crown area is probably 35% less hair than there is in the mid-scalp region. And if they could extend like my widow's peak maybe an inch and a half forward and then fill it all in, that's kind of what I'm looking for at this point.
Okay. I'll be honest with you. It's hard to know based on what you're telling me what 3,000 grafts will do. But for most people anyway, regardless of the degree of hair loss, you have one surgery, expect a need for a second one, and if you don't need it, count yourself lucky.
Yeah. Okay.
It's almost never one surgery, regardless of how little hair loss you have.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing you guys say for years. It's just, like I said, I don't want to be going through this for years. But
well, you're gonna go through it for a minimum of 1 year. So you're making a commitment if you decide to have surgery, and if you do well with one surgery, it's a minimum of a 1 year situation. And you're 61 years old now, so is it worth that year of your life to wait for that result and be like, okay, I'm good with this, or maybe I need another one, and that's another year of your life.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I was figuring. But I just wanted to get your guys' viewpoint on the difference in the graphs that they had told me. And anyways, you guys are great. You guys do an awesome job. I wish I could direct more people to your show. If there's some way I can in the future, I will. I tell people that, if you're going to have something done, go listen to these guys first.
Dude, take out an ad on like MSNBC. It's really cheap now.
CNN.
Yeah, or CNN, exactly. All right, man, listen, good luck.
See you guys. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
The phone number is 888-659-3727. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
It's Morty from Brooklyn.
Holy shit. You know what?
Morty from Brooklyn.
We got all the lines lit, and I picked Morty. How are you, man?
How did I know you were going to call when I got an email? Your photos are ready, buddy. Let's talk. I got them ready to go.
Good.
Oh, wait a second. You got photos from Morty?
Yeah.
So why did you text me and like, listen, Morty's going to call and I got photos. And if I saw the number, I would have been like, nope.
I didn't. I wasn't sure if you'd be able to read. If I sent you a text.
Come on, I'm day drinking, having fun. I'm not drunk yet. I will be soon, though.
Well, you should be, Spencer. You deserve to have a drink. It's Miller time. They used to say on TV years and years ago.
You know what? Today this is what I decided. You know what? I was like, you know what? Today's a good day. I woke up. I felt good. Did my thing. I'm like, I got to do this fucking show. I'm going to have a drink.
There you go. All right.
I think it's more like he started to have a drink, and then someone said, don't you have a show to do? And he was like, oh, fuck. I forgot.
Actually, that's the truth. I started day drinking like 1 o'clock. Yeah.
Well, one drink is okay. You can manage with one. The problem is one usually leads to two, and two leads to three.
I just drank a bottle of wine, so just deal with it.
Oh, wow. Okay, rock and roll, man. How was it?
I'm not sure yet. Well, I'll find out tomorrow.
The glass is for posterity's sake.
Yeah.
All right. So, Morty,
tee it up.
Give us a recap. How many grafts did you have? How many months ago?
Right. Okay. So it's real easy. It was the day before Thanksgiving. So that's November 23rd or 24th, something like that, I guess. So here we are. We got, so that's basically full month of December, January, February. And
so
here we are
wait
March,
a second. So normally the after
12,
is on the right. So I'm assuming that the after is on the left.
That's not even the current after. This is the only before image I had, and I couldn't crop it in time. So the image on the right is Morty at the beginning
with medication
before any surgery.
Yep.
Little bit of laser cap, a little bit of medication.
So he started with Formica and a gruesome vellus hair. That's great.
And then the one on the left is what?
Finasteride?
So that's the new one I just sent you. No, hang on a second. You get the split photo. That was the original one I sent you. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm like not in front of the computer right now, so I can't see it.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
So Go ahead.
So the split photo has your before, and then the after is showing what?
Okay, so the split photo wasn't the one I just sent you. The split photo is the old photo, because I didn't send you a split photo. I sent you a new photo just today with one picture in it with just my current hair. Right.
I'm setting up the story. So this is before.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay, so before you basically have Formica, and those are your words, okay? And that was basically before anything, before I was taking any kind of medication, before any kind of laser cap. That's basically pre-Bald Truth. That's what you're looking at.
Okay.
So this is how Morty came to Spencer and Joe. Okay, and then after the advice from Spencer and Joe, and and a couple of consultations with IHRS members, specifically Dr. Carlos Wesley, who I then got on his topical, and he gave me an initial prescription for finasteride. I got to the second photo. That's the one where we have some vellus hair, and we have a forelock, which came pretty much out of nowhere, right? Which was
and that's an amazing response. How much time on finasteride is this?
So that picture was probably at about 9 months to a year thereabouts.
Okay, all right. So that was great. Awesome response to it. Really glad it worked out for you.
Yep.
You had surgery with Dr. John Cole. How many grafts?
Correct.
And how long ago?
The surgery was in October of 2021. So 25th, basically exactly 4 months ago, or thereabouts.
All right, let's see the results, man. I want to see these. Show the pictures.
Dun, 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 dun.
4 months.
It's up there.
It's happening, man.
That's amazing.
That's a lot of growth for 4 months.
Yeah, I am over the moon.
That's actually unusual, as far as I've seen growth like that 4 months,
unusual.
but it's good.
It's good.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I am very pleased with it, and it's one of those things where you wake up in the morning and you look in the mirror and you look better than the day before, which is not something that happens to you after you turn 40. You know what I mean?
It happens to me, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
So
but I still see you have a couple. You have like one or two pustules left. You have one big one.
That was actually one of the reasons one of the reasons I am calling is there is I guess a bit of folliculitis in that one spot, and it's kind of hanging on, and it's pissing me off. I like I said, I let it go for a week because typically these things for me they'd show up, and then they would kind of resolve themselves in about a week. This one's been kind of hanging on, and it's annoying the fuck out of me. So I'm probably going to go talk to John about it tomorrow, but I figured since I was calling in, I figured I'd go ahead and ask you guys.
Well, I mean, the truth is you can get that from shaving. If you ever shave downstairs or your beard, like under your chin, you can get that. Sometimes it's like it just continues. I mean, you had a transplant. It's something that you don't want to see, but it's not necessarily because of the way the hair was transplanted or anything like that. It's just your body's reaction to the follicle.
Yeah. So, I guess I've been trying to clean it, because it crusts over and then it cracks and it bleeds again, which is really freaking annoying.
Well, how do you clean it? What do you use?
Well, I've been just using baby shampoo because I've just been babying this freaking hair ever since it's been growing in.
Right.
And that's pretty much it.
And you're not using any like alcohol peroxide, right?
Well, I do use the topicals, right? I use the topicals, and some of the spray topical is alcohol based. So
alcohol could exacerbate that situation a little bit.
Gotcha.
I'm not a doctor, but just based on experience.
Yeah, so I'm thinking about basically using some sort of oil-based ointment. Maybe I may try that. But I mean, other than that,
you might want to see a dermatologist, man.
Seriously?
Why not?
Okay. All right.
There's nothing wrong with a little extra help.
Okay. No, that's a good point. Hey, you know what? I will do exactly that. By the way, it's actually time I have to go see a dermatologist. I see them once a year because I have all these fucking little freckles all over me, and I don't want to take any chances. My dad actually had some cancer that it came out of one of those things. So I actually thank you for reminding me. I need to go take care of that. So yeah, no, that's a good idea. I'll make an appointment.
Why not?
Unfortunately, it takes typically about 2 weeks to get one. So by the time I see him, the thing will probably resolve. But anyway, so yeah, that's one thing. The main reason I called and sent the pictures because I wanted to crow about my result because I'm really very, very happy with it.
Yeah, you should. You should.
Yeah,
Like I'm really happy for you. It's really nice. Really nice to see that. And I was thinking while you and Spencer were talking, I was thinking about how even if it stopped growing today, it would look completely natural. And God, I can't say this enough. It's like that's what matters. Because if you had a shitty hair transplant and it stopped growing at this point, like it would be the worst thing that ever happened to you.
Yeah. 100%.
But it looks natural.
Yep.
And it's so nice to see that. Like, I'd expect nothing less from Dr. Cole, but, I mean, it's just nice to see that. And it really warms my heart because I know what you've been through. You've been so patient and so studious with your research and listening to our advice. And I'm really happy for you, man. Really am. Can't say it enough.
I'm happy for myself. So actually, that's another question that I was going to ask. I mean, you're seeing the amount of density that's there and the amount of growth that's there, and more importantly, the time, right? So this is a question. Because I was an early grower, does that mean that my end result is going to happen earlier, or can I expect more growth between now and say 9 to 12 months?
Oh my God.
Oh God. Doesn't matter how much studying they've done or how much research, it's always the same question. It's 4 months on. Yeah. Is this all there is? No, it's not. And you answer your question
barely
before.
started,
but that's something to celebrate. I mean, right?
Yeah,
that's something to be happy about.
The fact that it broke through to that level at 4 months.
Yeah,
you have so much to look forward to, man.
That's incredible, dude. That's incredible.
Dude, you're just starting. Like, your journey is just starting. This is where most people, the average patient that's gotten a good hair transplant is at 4 months. These results that you see where you don't see the first growth till 5 months, that's on the outside of normal. What you're experiencing now, that's normal. There's nothing early about it. Okay, so
good.
by the time when 6 months comes around, it's going to look different, and then you're going to be like, "Is this all there is to it?" It'll be long enough. You'll be able to comb it, and maybe comb it off to the side, give it a little style, and you'll be asking the same question. At 8 months, it'll be even better, and you'll ask that question: Is this all there is? And it'll be longer. It'll be thicker, and even if it were to stop then. The quality of the hair will improve for another 6 months after that. It'll get softer. It'll behave better. It'll be trained better. It won't be so like right now. It looks kind of wild. Looks like it's going off in different directions. That's natural. It'll settle down. It'll all start going in the right direction.
And before you know it, Morty has hair, and that's it. He won't have to call the show anymore.
Yeah. Well, I don't have to call the show anymore anyway, but I love hearing you guys. And again, I called to thank you guys because to be honest, I would not be where I am right now. I mean, you don't understand. I look in the mirror and I think about my dad, who, God rest his soul, combed his hair over until the day he died. Okay. And, and I think to myself, damn it, I wish Dad could see this because, he would just be he would be floored. My dad, he was basically, oh, Morty, why don't I get you? I'm going to get you a nice toupee or something like that, because he saw like the dejection that I had on my face, when I would look in the mirror, and he wanted to do his best to help me through that, but that was all he knew, But then this stuff happens, and I'm just like. Wow.
Trust me, there's a level of guilt that some dads or moms would actually have because they know that it's their fucking genes that fucked you up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say that was definitely the case with my dad. I part of me wishes I could have done this A, while he was alive, and B, I could have done this so that he could have gone ahead and done this. Because it bugged the shit out of him too.
No, but he could have done it if he's alive now, but he couldn't have done it. Well, maybe, I mean, if he found the right person 20 years ago, but it was a lot harder.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw pictures of him when he was in his 20s, and the poor guy had a comb over from his ear. I mean, that's how far down the part had to be.
He still got married though, man. He had you guys, right? He had a life, so whatever.
Yeah, well, yeah, that is true, and his well, again, let's not even go there. But I can tell you that
Morty doesn't want to go there. Sorry, Marty. It's sore spot.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
No, it's because the marriage didn't end well, and you know, this isn't really the show to talk about my dad's and mom's marriage. That's really not the show for that. But what I want.
Oh, I thought it was. I'm sorry. I apologize.
I'll go there if you want. I mean, my
Not
dad
really.
was never.
I'm just fucking with you, dude.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
Because he was kind of insecure about it. Like I said, nobody at the age of like 24, 25 is combing their hair over from their ear. I'm sorry. You know, it just.
You'd be surprised. There's always that kid in high school. You're like, why the fuck, when you were a kid, because you didn't realize he was losing his hair, why the fuck did this kid wear his hair this way? And then you realize once you start losing yours, this guy was balding since he was 16.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, I had basically cut my hair. I was keeping it really, really short, or basically buzzing it until, like I said, until I started down this road and like basically a few months later found the bald truth and started calling in. So, you know, and let me tell you something, I am so glad I did, because I could have gone another way. Like the first person that I'd met that actually had a hair transplant that looked halfway decent was this guy I was working with. His name was this guy named Muhammad, and he's Pakistani, and he had his work in Pakistan.
Right.
All right. And he's like, oh, dude, just go to Pakistan. It'll be $6,000. It'll be great. You know? And, you know.
Well, you did a lot better than $6,000. You fucking, you attach yourself like a fucking, you know, like a leech to the show and to everybody else, and you got your thing done, and I'm really proud of you.
Yeah,
because that was a good fucking move.
Well, thank you. You know, I mean, well, the thing about it is, I'm the type of person where I like making friends, and I mean, the other side of the members of the IAHRS, in addition to being amazing surgeons, of the people that I spoke with, they're genuinely good people. The ones that I met. I mean, everybody's got their own little, you know, their own little eccentricities, but. I mean, of all of the people that I spoke with, you know, Dr. Charles, Dr. Wesley, Dr. Cole, obviously, and I'm just trying to think which of. Oh yeah, and Dr. Charles, Dr. Epstein. They were all, you know, even though I didn't go with.
Wait a second. Are you saying these guys are eccentric?
I didn't say that they were eccentric. I said that everyone has their eccentricity. That doesn't mean that they're eccentric. It means that there's some eccentricity about them.
Oh, I see. I would say there's a lot of eccentricities involved with basically everyone in this field. But these are all good guys. These are guys.
In addition to being amazing doctors, they're really cool. They're really nice people.
Well,
and they're people who you know, I really enjoyed speaking with, and they dealt with me in a very professional manner. And some of them have become my friends. Certainly, Dr. Cole has. So, I mean, thank you, Spencer, for putting the IHRS together, and thank you, Joe, for pulling John into your own list, because you know those are really important things. And you know,
I will tell you that's probably the first time I've ever heard that someone thanking me for putting the IHRS together. So, thank you, Morty. I appreciate that, man.
That's good.
That's the thing. It's like you know, if I had to thank somebody, for example, if I had a piece of surgery done, I would thank the founder of the AMA for the same reason.
Right.
You know, before that, they used to go to a barber chair to get surgery done.
And sadly, in this industry, there is a company that is trying to promote that type of scenario.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of insane.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's a freaking Broadway play about that insanity, right?
Yeah.
I forget the name of it. Sweeney Todd.
Sweeney Todd, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. So again, you know, it's and this is not something that the government did, right? Because this is not something that was done by some committee. This is done by a regular guy, a regular Spencer, right? A regular guy who took a look at the industry and decided that it needed to pull together in a way that it couldn't do on its own. And my hat's off for you to doing that, because just think about how difficult that was, right? You're an outsider. You're somebody who isn't a doctor. You don't have an MD. You don't have the credentials. You've never done a hair transplant in your life. You wrote a book, okay. but you pulled together this group of this group of surgeons, and you made the IHRS, and then you turn around and you did the global hair loss.
He wrote a book.
Right?
Okay,
That's another thing you guys did.
You were doing
You wrote a
really
book,
well.
okay.
You were doing really well until that point. Do you know how difficult it was to get published by a major publisher in 1998?
Oh, well, yeah. I can only imagine. I've never published a book.
Anyway, I'm just fucking with you. Dude, I appreciate it, man. You know what? And you're probably the only person in my entire career that has ever laid it out that way. And I appreciate you saying that because you know what? No one else gives a fuck. They're like, yeah, you know what? We'll check it out. Got a good hair transplant. Thanks a lot. And then there are people out there that made, they didn't do their due diligence. They just went off a list and they didn't have a great experience. And then it's like, oh, it's Kobren's fault. It's like, Jesus Christ. Yeah. I mean, you listen.
My favorite is when I deal with someone for maybe a year or two and I give them some suggestions. They find a clinic or they go to a clinic that I'm talking to them about, and they're super happy, and then they thank everyone for their help on a forum.
Exactly. Yeah, on a forum. Exactly.
It's like, what the fuck?
Oh my God, that's
what?
funny.
You would have heard about these fuckers if it wasn't for me.
Dude, these fucking forums, man. Stay off the forums. That's all I'm saying. Stay off the forums.
Well, I can't get on your forum because I tried registering and it never let me in, so that's another blessing. But anyway.
Well, good for you. But here's the thing. I say this all the time. No matter what you read on these things, even our forum, I mean, if it's coming from an anonymous person or, and this is the God's honest truth, if there are people who are working for the forum that are making suggestions and giving their insights and their critiques or whatever it is, that is something in my view that you don't want to be involved in. It's a bad fucking move. Everyone who has a forum.
That's why I go to the best for my critique.
Well, I mean, listen, I mean, I think you can get good information from anywhere, but you have to understand how to pick and choose and do not get guided by the peanut gallery when it comes to surgery. That's all I'm saying. You can use all these resources to your advantage if you understand how to leverage them and use them to your advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
there's a benefit. You just got to understand.
A lot of these
you have to understand how.
So I don't have to go to 30 different places to find the good people. That's the beauty of it, right? I mean, it's like if you went to Consumer Reports, right? But that's the other thing, right? You go to Consumer Reports, you got to pay money to get at their reviews, right?
Yeah.
You're putting them out there for free for us.
You know what, dude? You're a good dude. I appreciate that. I think about that sometimes when I see these when people send me like bullshit that I read about myself online or about what we do. I'm just like, why haven't I sold out? No one gives a fuck. No one even know if I decide to sell out.
No. Everyone cares when you do. They'll accuse you of doing it before that. There's a better way of saying that, but you know what I'm saying.
24 years I've been getting bullshit from either people who believe that they're somehow my competitor or doctors who weren't accepted into the IHRS or whatever. You have to really grow a thick skin in this industry if you want to succeed.
Yeah.
Or you have to sell out. Either one.
Or you have to sell out.
Yeah.
And most people sell out.
Dude,
guys,
Morty,
I'm not sure you can.
You're speechless. We're going to let you go at that.
Sounds good. Listen, I also wanted to let you know. I don't know if other calls have been suffering, but you're on the phone. You're cutting in and out pretty bad. Just FYI.
Really?
Last caller said that too.
Really?
Yeah. So.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
I think it's Spencer's wine glass on the mute button.
It could be my internet. Who knows? Let me see. I'm going to check this out real quick.
Anyway, listen, guys.
All right, dude.
Have a pleasant weekend. It's always great talking
Thanks,
to you.
Morty.
And I will be calling again.
You
that's
too.
for sure.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
We look forward to it.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Joe, I know you got to go because you usually have to go somewhere. We have a couple more calls. You want to take one more real quick?
Let's do
you
it.
Have to go?
Let's do it. No,
right.
I'm fine. Let's do it.
It's always up to you. You run this thing. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this? Where are you calling from? Caller, what's up, man?
Hello.
5, 4.
Hello?
Yes.
Oh, there he is.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Oh, good. Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, I had I had called you guys before. Mike from New York. I was experiencing the telogen effluvium.
Okay, yeah, I remember.
Yeah, Mike. How you doing?
Yeah, so I just good. Well, I mean, not too great. I just to give you an update. I've tried pretty much everything under the sun. The itching and the dandruff is still there. The fallout is still there. Basically, I tried switching to a basic. I tried the ketoconazole shampoo. I tried switching to a basic shampoo that literally has nothing in it. I mean, it's called Free and Clear. There's no fragrances, no sulfates. They also make a hairspray, and I've been using that to style my hair. And the itching is there. And what's funny is, again, I don't think it's necessarily androgenic related because the donor area is itching as well, the back of the head and the sides.
If I remember correctly, this happened, and the fact that I remember this is actually ridiculous, but this happened after you had PRP at like a med spa.
Yeah, so I had PRP right in July, and that's when I was maintaining great on finasteride, 1 milligram once a day, and minoxidil once or twice a day, topically. And then what happened was I started to notice more hair fall in July, and it just kept going and going. But the itching and the dandruff really started within the last 2 months, I would say. And that has increased the hair fall even more. So I went back to the dermatologist. You remember they put me on a steroid, topical steroid that just seemed to make things worse. She actually prescribed dutasteride now for me, and she suggested maybe it could be the hair loss ramping up, causing the itching, but I think I may have multiple problems going on. And what she wanted me to do, I don't know if you've ever heard of this, was to take dutasteride once, start with it 1 day a week, and finasteride the rest of the days, and then slowly ramp it up. So I was wondering what you guys think about that.
Slowly replacing your intake of finasteride by upping your intake of dutasteride from 1 day a week to 2 days to 3 days?
Correct. So basically
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, 0.5 milligram dutasteride, 1 milligram of finasteride, and then slowly, titrating.
There's nothing wrong with that. Like titrating into dutasteride, there's nothing wrong with that. And that's actually not a bad strategy to try and... Are you standing next to a highway?
Yeah, I'm outside right now. Let me try to go back inside. I just have bad service inside. Hold on a second.
I heard a semi-truck.
Yeah. I'm still at work, so... Go ahead. I'm inside now.
Yes. So the reason why she did that was because it helps to lessen the transitional impact that changing medications can have, which is what you're already going through, which would be a telogen effluvium, right? So, but that's the way to do it. Like if you want the least possible impact from in the form of shock loss from a transition from one medication to another or one treatment to another, that's the way to do it. Just kind of slowly introduce it to your regular routine, and over time have it replace your regular routine with a new one. So it makes a lot of sense. I'm sure we talked about inflammation. I'm sure we talked about curcumin, turmeric, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I tried all that.
Yeah, but for how long?
Since we last talked, so I've been on the turmeric. I've cut out all refined sugars. I've cleaned up my diet. I'm eating mostly fish, salmon, vegetables that have anti-inflammatory properties, water. I always took a multivitamin and biotin and L-lysine, but I've added in now magnesium and iron and D3, and it honestly no difference. Nothing has changed really.
Okay.
So I'm just stumped. It's crazy to me.
But how long has that been? You said since you last called, but I don't remember how long it's been. Like a few weeks?
It's probably a few weeks, a month, something like that.
Yeah, you're not going to see a change in this time. It's a long-term plan that you got to stick to. So it can take several more weeks before you even begin to see. And again, not a doctor, but this is just my personal observation, my own case, where the hair itches. Or the scalp itches, the hair can actually feel tender, like you're touching your scalp and it almost hurts. Did you say that was one symptom?
Yeah, it's almost even a slight burning to it,
Yeah. That's I get it, and it's problematic because there could be several things going on at once that are kind of almost feeding off of each other and making it worse. What's your exercise like?
Pretty much not. That's pretty much non-existent at this point.
Ah, there you go.
Because of my work schedule.
Okay.
Yeah.
Get busy. Even if it's 5-10 minutes every morning. Do body weight squats, push-ups, things like that, and then work into something that's a little bit heavier with some weights if you can. But you can always stop and do 3 minutes of squats, especially with your back against a wall. That's amazing. That's amazing for lower body strength. But things like this, I mean, it's not to say that exercise is going to make your scalp feel better, but everything that you can do to improve your health overall can contribute in small or big ways when combined. So, I mean, it's disturbing that you're still going through this, but just got to give us some more time.
For 1 second. I just want to take a piss, and I heard something about it's amazing for lower body strength. What's going on here? Did we stop doing the hair loss show?
We're not going to tell, are we, Mike?
Jesus.
No.
No, but I do think
actually,
I kind of get an idea that if Joe is expressing that you need to move your body more to help with your inflammation, that makes a lot of sense. There's no doubt that if you if you increase your cardio, you're going to lower your inflammation in general.
Yeah, I wonder if I could send you these pictures real quick of what's going on.
You mean of your hair, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
What is the email? Let me see if I can get it to go through.
Spencer at, wrong email. No, send them to, just send them to admin, ADMIN, at hairtransplantmentor.com.
All right, let me see here.
Yeah.
Hair trans. Okay.
I know it's long. I should come up with a shorter one.
Yeah, like ernestborgnine.appendectomy.org. Let me see here. Hair transplant.
Yeah.
All right.
That is an old reference, man.
I like that.
Yeah. All right, I'm sending it now. I'll just send. There we go. See if it goes through.
It is forwarded to an unpublished email address. It'll take it a few minutes. But in the meantime, you went to your dermatologist. What about? You're in New York. Have you been to see a hair transplant doctor that might have some experience with this, like Dr. Bernstein?
Bloxam.
Yeah. Okay. Have you seen someone else?
He said experienced. I'm just kidding. That's a joke. Man.
I didn't want.
See, that's a good thing I called you because
I was subtle with mine. He was just more direct. I love it.
No, it's good. It's good that you said that because last time when I called you guys, you said he was a good surgeon.
He is.
Doctor.
He is a good surgeon.
Surgeon.
Yeah,
surgeon. It doesn't mean he's experienced with scalp conditions like this.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that he's had a tremendous amount of time on tissue when it comes to this. He's a young guy, man.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So, I mean, is that in regards to? No. I mean, this is important. I mean, is that in regards to you wouldn't use him for a transplant? Is that what you mean, or you wouldn't use him for a scalp condition?
No, he learned from a guy from Alan Feller, who is actually one of the best strip doctors. He really. One thing about Alan Feller is he decided to rise to the occasion. I remember when he applied to the IHRS and he was like, "I don't use microscopes." I'm like, "Well, you either have to start using microscopes or you cannot be
I remember you told me that.
A part of the IHRS." He called the program and he says he is a convert. He started to use microscopic dissection, and he said it changed his practice completely. He also started to follow the guidance, in my view, of Victor Hassan and Jerry Wong, and he became one of the best on the East Coast for sure. Bloxam learned from this guy, so he's good at what he does. There's no doubt.
Yeah, well, Bloxam looked at my scalp when it was good, and now he looked at it again recently, within the past few months, and he said, it looks like it's miniaturizing all over. At that day, he didn't see any seborrheic dermatitis or anything like that, but it may have just not been acting up. I've noticed some days there are little red patches, very light, and sometimes there's even an acne in the scalp here and there, a pimple.
Yeah.
So it's obviously something going on there, but at that point he didn't want to even operate anymore or suggest doing the front hairline or anything until I figured this out, and I told him I'd go see a dermatologist, which I did, and then I never got back to him. So.
Yeah, well, I would say that, I mean, it was absolutely great advice, and it was a great move for him to say that, you're not in a position to have a transplant. That's a very, a well-informed guy who again, he doesn't have a tremendous amount of time on tissue, but he has enough years, and he was trained by the right person to give you good advice.
But Bernstein, so you're saying Bernstein will be able to give me advice not hair transplant related, more just
Bernstein's
on
a
what's going on?
dermatologist.
Right. Well, yeah, but I get it. But I've seen now 2 dermatologists, and they don't seem to haven't solved the problem. But you're right. Maybe he's
but he's a dermatologist who focuses on hair.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's the benefit of being both. And I was going to say, what I'll do is, why don't you send me your actual history, the issues you've been dealing with, and what you've done to deal with them since this began, and I'll combine that with these photos that you took, and I'm going to send them to a dermatologist I know in Australia, Dr. Bevan Boyrule. He knows his shit when it comes to hair conditions as well. And I'll send that to you, just because I'm a hell of a nice guy. I'll send that to him on your behalf, and
thank you.
I'll forward your emails, so your email address is in there. So maybe you two can connect directly. I'll make the introduction, and he can maybe give you his input. But I got to ask you, what phone are you using for your photos? Is it an Android phone from 2011? That's what I got to know, because
That's
one
weird that it
image.
came through like that. It's an iPhone. It's an iPhone.
And by the way, just to let you know, who else is going to do this for free without charging you for a fucking consultation or trying to sell you a goddamn, fucking shampoo or some shit?
Seriously, you guys are really helping a lot of men.
Oh no, I'm not going to do it. I won't do that. Joe's going to do it.
No, yeah, I know, Spencer. Yeah, of course.
But honestly,
in fact, I need actually, if you're okay with it, just give me permission now, verbally, and then send me an email with verbal permission. I'll share your case on a discussion group that I'm in with. There's like 80 doctors in this. I'll share your history and your photos to see if there's some input. Okay, yeah, send me an email with that too, and I'll do that. But I'm going to need some new photos that are not taken in your bathroom or wherever this lighting is, because the lighting is horrible.
Well,
There's no detail that can be seen.
Joe, are the photos pixelated, or are you just the lighting you don't like?
The lighting more than anything. It's washing out the image.
Okay.
And it's actually making it pixelated. Okay.
Really? That's it. See if the other ones came out better. I sent you two more ones. You could see the left temple, or the right temple, I believe that is, completely gone.
That's a screenshot of a photo.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't send screenshots. Send the actual photo. That's the issue. That's why it's pixelated.
Okay. All right, well, I'll try to send them all again later when I have better service with Wi-Fi.
That's fine.
I'll send them all to you.
That's fine.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, we're going to call it a night, even though we have other callers. But I hope that Joe is able to provide you with a little help and a little solace that, I know you've been dealing with a lot. Dealing with a significant telogen effluvium after you thought you did something that would help you or benefit you fucking sucks. But in general rule of thumb is it will pass.
It just sucks watching 20 years of maintaining go down the tubes in a year.
Dude, I fucking know, man. I don't know, but I can imagine, and that's a big fear of mine. Besides certain roller coasters, but anyway, man.
All right.
Listen, good luck.
I appreciate it, guys. All right, Joe, I'll send you a more formal email with everything. I really appreciate your help.
Yeah, no worries, man. I'll do my best.
All right. All right, thanks, guys.
Joe's all right. Take it easy, man.
All right.
Good luck.
Bye.
Joe, you're not going to take any more calls?
That shit scares me because I've been through it before already. After I had my third hair transplant, I thought I was losing my hair, and my career was over.
Right.
So I understand the shit he's going through. It's scary. It's scary if you've never had a hair transplant. But if you've been through, you already lost your hair once, and then you get it back with a hair transplant, and then you're about to lose it again, fuck that. That was the worst. So I'm particularly interested in this because his issue, I've seen it before. I've seen it discussed in our group with some of these dermatologists in there. And I want to see if there's something these guys can do for him, because I feel for him, and I just don't like. Yeah, it sucks. It sucks. So I'll do what I can.
Good for you, man. And that's what this is all about. And I give people shit. The online guys shit. They're doing what they can too. They just don't have the the experience, the knowledge, and honestly the wherewithal that you have to help some of these guys out, or the willingness. Unless they charge.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and they don't have the resources to help if they want to, and whether they do or don't, they're still going to try to charge. So, anyway,
what a fucked up world. Anyway, who cares?
And
we do
if everyone can follow the advice of Women's Hair Loss Project, who's in the chat room.
I didn't even see that. Hey, Women's Hair Loss Project.
Huge advocate for women out there that are also losing their hair. She has some great advice, and that is for everyone to hit the like button. Hit the like button. We've been sitting here on our asses for 2 solid hours helping you guys. Show the love. If you're not going to share the video, which no one does because you're all damn cowards. Why are you sharing a hair loss show? Are you losing your hair? No, it's like, no, just like the damn show, please. Thank you.
Jesus, these fucking people.
I know.
You got to sell.
It's
you got to
for
start
free.
You got to start selling like derma rollers or fucking laser caps or some shit, Joe. That's what you got to do. Because I'm ready to get the fuck out of here. I'm ready to retire. I basically am retired. I tell you that. I mean, I do the show, whatever. I do my thing.
I'm ready for a nap.
But I'm just like, why would we keep doing this? No one gives a shit. There's like a group of people that give a shit. We get a few thousand people that that check us out every month on your channel, which is great. I mean, every week on your channel, which is great. I mean, we're helping these people, but God almighty.
Rob Heldner, thank you. It's 2.5 hours, not 2 hours. So, anyway.
All right, give out the websites, Joe.
On to the websites. Let's talk about the people that support us. There's hairlosscure2020.com. This guy is a rock star. What I like about his channel or his blog is he started it with some hope. God bless his heart, that there was going to be a cure by 2020. And of course, his hopes were dashed, just like everyone else's have been every 5 years for the past 50 years. But it's a great resource for future treatments, news about, some company no one's ever heard of that's in, phase 17 trials that never works out, but it's there. I mock it because it's just kind of, that's always the story, but it is a good resource.
That is the fucking best, by the way. I just got to give you a little credit for that one.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank you. But yeah, that's hairlosscure2020.com. Great supporter of this channel. They do stream this every week. We always say don't, or stay off the forums, but there are some forums out there that we do like because the people that run them, while they may be involved in the forum, at most it's just for an informational angle or to correct something that's been mistaken, things like that. That's hairlossexperiences.com. That's a good little forum. We like it. They support the channel as well. It's not always being streamed on their platform because I don't always take the time to actually put it there myself, but they are a supporter of the channel, so we appreciate them. And then back to our websites, let's start off with AmericanHairLoss.org. That's American Hair Loss Association, the AHLA, the single most referenced resource on the planet, bar none, when big media is looking for any sort of validation about their own stories regarding hair loss. According to the American Hair Loss Association, as stated by the American Hair Loss Association, blah, 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 all of them, ABC News, Wall Street Journal, GQ, they all come and look at the American Hair Loss Association as the de facto standard for anything hair loss. That's all there is to it. And what's funny is you don't see any other resources out there. None. They all bitch, they all moan, they all bellyache about how, the respectability shouldn't be there, but they're not getting any sort of recognition. It's American Hair Loss Association and the IAHRS, International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons. It's not a end-all, be-all list of doctors, and no one says that it's the best doctors. No, it's true. It's true. I had to tell you. You finally realized it. No, it's a safe place to start. Good doctors that do good work. No one's perfect. Every one of them have unhappy patients, but they probably have fewer unhappy patients than the average clinic, and that's what it's all about. They believe in the education aspect of things, and good place to start. I just like it, and it serves as the basis for what I do at hairtransplantmentor.com. When I'm evaluating clinics to be a part of my organization, one of the requirements is IAHRS membership, and that's simply because they've already done some of the heavy work for me. And I do a lot of heavy work, so I don't need any extra heavy work to do. Just got through still evaluating 5 clinics, but one of them came through on the other end after, all this work they put in, and I can't take them. I'm not going to say why, but I can't take them yet. The potential's there, but that's what I go through when I'm dealing with clinics that I present to you, where I say that I think they're worth your consideration. It means that they're worth your consideration on a high level of ability, and most clinics don't make it. So that's what I do. That's what I'm putting my time and my expertise into when I'm looking at members that I want to work with, or when I'm looking at clinics that I want to work with. And so, hairtransplantmentor.com, check that out. Of course, if you're listening to this broadcast, we do live stream every Friday through my YouTube channel. It is youtube.com/hairtransplantmentor. So if you're listening to us on iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spotify, any of those, you can watch us live here as well. Let's see what else. Women's Hair Loss Project, womenshairlossproject.org, great resource for women that are also dealing and suffering with hair loss.
womenshairlossproject.com.
Exactly. That's why I said you're drinking. You heard it wrong.
Yeah.
womenshairlossproject.com. Great resource. And I'll just leave it there. Oh, and 8togentlemen.com. Every Friday they do record a UK version of The Bald Truth. That's Spencer Speck Stevenson with this guy over here, Spencer Kobren.
Kobren, yeah.
And so 8togentlemen.com, it's a great resource for additional Bald Truth content.
It's funny, I was just looking up, because you mentioned the media and the American Hair Loss Association. I'm like, let me just check out what happened this week in American Hair Loss Association news. And there's WSIL TV 10 hours ago, 22 hours ago, Preventing Hair Loss in Men, Luxio, I don't know what that is. Women's Love Tech, another blog, 4 days ago. There doesn't even seem to be a week or a day that the American Hair Loss Association is not cited by someone who's writing about hair loss. And I got to tell you that I think we've done our job, and now I can just fucking go. I think about that.
No, you can't.
We're entrenched into the fabric of this culture. So, I mean, why do I got to do the show every week with you? Why can't you do it yourself?
I can.
All right.
But you won't.
Good night.
You will not ride off in the sunset, and you know it.
Why? I'm
Because
still
every
young,
Friday,
I'm still young enough to enjoy my life.
Every Friday, you call me up. Are we going on today? Are we going on? Huh? Are we doing it? Are we doing it? Are we doing it? Are we going on? I'm
That's
like,
a lie.
Fine, let's do the show.
That is a lie. It's the other way around. All right, guys, listen, I want to thank you guys for tuning in as usual. It's always a lot of fun to do the broadcast. And you know what? It was a drinking show. I enjoyed it. I'm not sure how I feel tomorrow because the drinking may continue. But I want to thank Joe Tillman for tolerating me tonight. And for all you guys who have been fans of the show, including Morty, again, we couldn't do this without our listeners, our fans, and our callers. So thank you so much. Until next time, be strong, God bless, and thank you all for listening. Have a good night.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the program, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be splendid.